everyone, and welcome to the opening drive on 101 ESPN in St. Louis. We're at 7:03. Time check brought to you by Clarkson Jewelers, an officially licensed Rolex jeweler. Brooke Grimsley, Matthew Rocchio, Randy Carricker. Great to have you with us. Trying to fix my little camera here. After a 4-day weekend, Brooke, it's really difficult for me to get back in the groove and just get everything situated the way I usually like it.
I feel like you're doing great, though, Randy. One, fantastic good morning
today.
And I thought you were going to do the very long one. You had to have broken some sort of record when you did that.
I saved that for Danny.
I know. You're waiting for him to pay attention.
Look at me.
Just to look at you.
How long will we wait? As long as it takes.
But yeah, after a long weekend, it takes a little bit to get back into the swing of things.
It does. So Brooke celebrated a birthday. So
I did. Thank you.
Saturday,
now that you're older.
And you got a chance to go see a concert at Busch Stadium, which was awesome, I take it.
It was. Journey and Def Leppard.
Not if you care about the future of the St. Louis Cardinals, it wasn't.
Well, so we were discussing this before the show started. I just posted, sometimes I get a little worried about posting on X now because there's just always people who have these really weird negative comments, right? And so you just want to share something very nice. I kept it simple. I said, you know, the ballpark looks a little bit different tonight, and it was a video of Journey, and that shouldn't make people angry, right?
No, it shouldn't.
Well, then one of the first comments is, what is this going to do to the field at Busch Stadium? I'm like, there's concerts that happen all the time here, and they do a good job of handling those things. And you want revenue coming into the city, into the area. It does a lot of great things for the local region, and so I thought it was fantastic. Now, I will say, I am a fan of Journey. Grew up listening to Journey. It's something that my parents played all the time. I did not know that Steve Perry was no longer with the band. It's fine because the lead singer actually sounded just like him.
And Steve Perry's been gone
since '98.
I missed that. They sound the same.
But he does. I sent you the video, right?
Yeah,
so you heard him. He sounded just like him, right?
Yeah,
he came out. Apparently, they only have one original member left in Journey.
Oh, really? But they're still Journey.
They are. They're still Journey.
Okay.
That has to be a little bit weird, though, right? That somebody is using basically your voice
name,
and songs.
Yeah, your song, your name.
Yeah.
But you're not the group.
No.
That's kind of weird. That'd be like the Rolling Stones without anybody, right? Except maybe, well, nobody. Pretty soon they're going to have nobody. They're all old.
Def Leppard, though. And I'm sure we actually had a lot of listeners out there, and I was able to meet some people who are fans of our show, and Def Leppard was amazing. Amazing. So it was a great performance.
Good job by the Cardinals to get another concert in. They've got Billy Joel and Sting coming in September. And it's cool what they do with the ballpark and the concert setup. And, yeah, the grass is going to be fine. Don't worry.
I guess they're just not planning to play any playoff games. It's fair enough. So, ruin the grass in September because, hey, you're not going to need it in October.
Yeah, Cubs used to schedule concerts in October.
Yeah, I love that.
That was pretty funny. They knew. They were ahead of the game. The Cardinals win again yesterday by a score of 8-3 over the Nationals. Cardinals take 2 of 3 in Pittsburgh. They obviously have won 2 of the first 3 in Washington. They'll play again today against another left-hander, by the way. And the Cardinals, Brooke, are going for another series victory. In 8 of their last 9 series, including this one, they've either split or won the series. And since the Mother's Day holiday, way back in May, I think it was May 12th, I'll double-check this for you, they have the 3rd best record in all of MLB. So you got to like that. So second place in the National League, and since Mother's Day, 32-18. That's since May 12th, the 3rd best record in all of MLB.
I think the biggest thing to me is their bounce back ability that we're seeing right now. I believe that they haven't lost consecutive games since early June. And the way that they're able to, yes, you're going to have a blow-up game like we saw this weekend, and I'm sure we're going to get into Lance Lynn a little bit later there. But the way that they're able to respond after that, quickly put it away, I think says a lot about this team right now.
Yeah, they're resilient. And that's, you got to give credit to that leadership that they brought in. We kind of laughed it off when they brought in the 3 starting pitchers and when they brought in Brandon Crawford and Matt Carpenter. But for some reason, it's happening, and I don't think, Brooke, that this would have happened last year.
No.
The way this team was constituted last year, there does seem to be a greater level of fortitude among this group of players than there was last year.
You definitely felt like last year that once things imploded, it stayed that way for a while.
Yeah. Over the weekend, by the way, Contreras 5 of 13, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. This is against Washington Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Contreras 5 of 13, 2 homers, 5 RBIs. Arenado 8 of 14, 8 of 14, a double and 3 RBIs. Gorman 7 of 11, 3 doubles and 4 RBIs. So those three together, let me do some math here. That's 20 of 27, 28, 20 of 38 for those three, with 4 doubles, a couple of homers, and 12 RBIs in the 3 games.
Great job, Randy.
Is he starting to maybe heat a little? Now, he hasn't hit for power, of course. The home runs, he's still sitting at 7. But is he starting to gain some traction at the plate?
It seems like it since June 8th, 23 games, 326, 358 on base, 405 slug. So, yeah, under the circumstances with where he is, we'll take that. That's pretty much a month's worth of production for Nolan Arenado. Just 5 extra base hits out of the 29 hits. But, yeah, at least he's getting his bat on the ball. And I kind of wonder, Brooke, whether he is hurt or if he's fallen off the cliff. I hate to lean towards falling off the cliff, but he just doesn't swing like he used to swing.
He's got one of the worst bat speeds in the entire National League, and that worries me because he can't get the barrel there.
Yeah,
because and that's what he's. I mean, he's obviously maybe he's not seeing the ball poorly, because again, you can't hit 326 across a month when you're not seeing the ball well. But it's just there's no power behind his swing. And
he's a right-handed Tony Gwynn.
That's not.
326.
He's got a career 520 slug, and he's slugging 400 right now.
Didn't lead off. 358 on base.
I don't know about that. Well, Derek Gould has a story out right now on the Post-Dispatch, and the quote going into it says, "My goal is to get to the All-Star break, God willing, healthy and feeling a tide turning. That's my own goal. I care about winning, helping this team win, and in the first half the right way." So I think it's a combination of both that I'm hearing there. Health, but also, don't you feel like with Nolan Arenado, he really puts a lot of weight on his shoulders with what he needs to do? And of course, he's making a lot of money. He understands that. He knows that there's a lot of pressure on him. But it also does say a lot that during the stretch that we're talking about with the Cardinals right now, it hasn't been your big guys, Paul Goldschmidt, Nolan Arenado, who's carrying the weight of this team offensively.
This is a compliment, by the way. I think he is kind of Kevin Durant. Like one of the best players in the game. Remember Charles Barkley said that Durant was a passenger and not a bus driver? I think that's Nolan Arenado. Really good player, great player. Hall of Famer. But he's not going to be a guy who's going to be a centerpiece player to a world champion. He's not going to be Albert Pujols. He's not going to be that guy. He's not going to be Derek Jeter. He's not going to be the centerpiece guy, but he can be a really key contributor to a team that wins, or at least he could have been in his previous iteration. I don't know if he can now, but that's what he is. I don't think he's ever going to be or ever has been a bus driver based on what we have seen as a member of the Cardinals.
I think that's a really good point. Who is the bus driver then for the Cardinals?
I think he's the bus driver of this team.
Leadership-wise?
He's the leader. He's their best player. He's productive when he needs to be. He does everything that you want a winning player to do. And Wynn is a great player too. But Donovan seems to be a guy that he's kind of a centerpiece. Everybody is around. They rally around Donovan. I think he's their most important player right now.
What about Wilson Contreras? I think that he can be a difference maker.
No doubt. He has become that. And the thing is, he just hasn't been there enough this year. But, man, he has been great since he's come back. And since he's gotten into a groove, it's not easy to get into a groove. And I think he's still banged up. I think the hand, he got hit on the hand after he came back from the broken arm. And I think the hand is still bugging him at times. It looked like it did yesterday.
Still had a 2-run homer, though.
Yeah, and a huge 2-run homer the other night. Meanwhile, the Cardinals only get 1 All-Star, Ryan Helsley. 32 of the 64 All-Stars are first-timers, including Helsley. The starting lineups for the AL and NL each came from just 5 teams, and that's the way it is right now. Last night in Colorado, St. Louis City SC lost to the Colorado Rapids 4-1. John Hackworth falling to 1-1 as a coach. City tied at 1-1 with first career MLS goal for Columbia native, Columbia, Missouri, not like Medellin, Columbia native John Klein.
Thank you for the clarification.
I guess there's a clarification you got to make in this sport. It's a fair point.
Yeah. Defense fell apart, and the Rapids continue their hot run. They're 7-2-2 since their coaching change, and City is kind of scuffling.
Ooh, and then injuries. Roman Berkey exiting last night, but it seems like it's
what do you
just
have there,
back spasms.
How long do you think he's been dealing with that?
Well, I think theoretically you can't say what you want me to say because it hasn't been something that's been hampering
About a week
him
back.
for.
Thank you, Matthew.
No, it hasn't technically been a week back though. It was something that happened during the course of the match.
Maybe he tweaked something in practice and they're just not telling us, Brooke.
Oh, okay.
Sorry. Training. My bad.
There
Sorry.
you go. But yeah, the injuries are mounting up for this team right now.
Yeah, they just are. They're scuffling. That's the only way to put it. And they aren't as talented as they weren't talented enough to change coaches. They weren't good enough to change coaches because you're trying to squeeze blood from a turnip at this point.
Actually, my biggest complaint from the entire game is actually one thing from the broadcast. When after John Klein scored his goal, they said he's from Columbia. He went to St. Louis. Now, Columbia, Missouri, about 130 miles from Kansas City. And I was like, how did you? What? No! What did you just do here, my guy? It was the weirdest way to ever explain Columbia while talking about a SLU guy playing for a St. Louis team. It threw me off for the next 20 minutes.
Probably threw them off too, and that's why they wound up falling apart. So we're off and running here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Matthew, Randy, coming up, 3 things we love from the weekend here on the opening drive on 101 ESPN. All right, time for 3 things we loved about the weekend. A long weekend here on 101 ESPN. Brooke, Randy, and Matthew. Brooke, what do you got for us?
Number 3.
For me, it's going to be watching Willson Contreras ever since he came back from the injured list. We were just discussing that in the last segment, but the fact that he was able to come back so early, the projection was 10 to 12 weeks initially with his injury, and then he was able to come back in 6.5 weeks. And you see how big of a difference maker he is, especially in the series this past weekend against the Nationals, and what he's able to do. Even yesterday, going 2 for 5 with a 2-run homer that we talked about, 3 RBIs, and also a stolen base. The way that he is a difference maker, and he's fun to watch. I know that sounds silly,
No,
but
that's what it's all. It's the entertainment business. You're 100% right.
He's entertaining, and I think that when we're talking about somebody who is a bus driver, I think Willson Contreras is a bus driver.
Yeah.
He's somebody I enjoy watching, and I'm just glad to see what he's able to do coming back.
Cardinals, among their regulars, only have one guy that's won a World Series, and that's him. Obviously, Brandon Crawford is on the bench, but I believe there's a lot to be said for winning experience, and especially with a young, growing team, because he was a rookie on the 2016 Cubs. So I'm with you. He makes a big difference, and he's fun to watch play, and I don't think, well, they might be tied for first. I don't think there's anybody on this team that outwardly shows their excitement about winning more than him.
The passion. You're able to feel it. You're able to feel the passion.
Yep. Brooke, I did one of the great St. Louis things over the weekend on Saturday. I went over to Soulard Market and did some shopping for some veggies and got things ready for a stir fry. But all the farm fresh vegetables that are over there and all the farmers that make their way over, it's just a fun atmosphere at Soulard Market. And this is a great time of year, obviously. This is tomato season. And so there's a lot of great things going on over there. But if you aren't to St. Louis and that utilizes Soulard Market, some Saturday, head on over there, Friday or Saturday, head on over to Soulard Market and take advantage of the farm-to-table freshness of the vegetables over at Soulard. It's sensational.
That's why I can't believe that Dan doesn't like tomatoes. I love tomatoes.
I do too.
I love tomatoes. Do you like fried green tomatoes?
No, not really.
Really?
No.
They're so good.
Are they? I'm not a fried green tomato guy, but I am pretty much every vegetable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
do you like fried? Or just in general?
Oh, yeah.
Everything's good fried.
Everything is. Yeah, you can even change the taste of Brussels sprouts or something if you wanted to. A lot of people, some people detest and won't even place a Brussels sprout in their mouth.
Really?
Yeah.
I like Brussels sprouts.
What's the most polarizing vegetable? I think that might be broccoli. I love broccoli.
I do too, but there's definitely a lot of people who can't stand it.
Okay.
But I think Brussels sprouts would be up there. I'm trying to think of another one.
Now, when you say you love broccoli, will you just eat like a plain piece of steamed broccoli?
I will.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I will
Okay,
do
then
it.
you love broccoli. I had to make sure where the actual love was. Was it the cheese covering the broccoli or the broccoli?
Here's what you do. You put it in a little steamer cup with some water, some olive oil, and maybe salt, pepper, garlic. Steam it for 4 minutes. Shake up have water and olive oil in there so it's well steamed, and then shake it up so that you get the spices all over. It's delicious.
That sounds really good. I need to go over to that market. I've been to Tower Grove, their farmers market, over the weekends, but I haven't been to the Soulard.
Kirkwood's is really good too. Kirkwood has a good farmers market.
Oh, I didn't know they had one.
Yeah, they do.
I had a babysitter who took me to the farmers market when I was a little kid all the time, and I can still smell the cheese. It hasn't gone away. It's that perfect.
When I was a youngster, we used to go on the walkathon. I don't even know if they have the March of Dimes walkathon anymore, but it was a 20-mile walk. And so I'm like 14, 15, 16 years old doing this 20-mile walk. And early on, it was from Busch Stadium and then a big loop around the city. And they had these big, beautiful oranges at Soulard Market. They don't have those anymore. But every year on the walkathon, I would stop at Soulard and get a couple of oranges because they were delicious.
Okay, real quick. We are getting some answers to the polarizing vegetable question that you have. Asparagus is Satan's favorite vegetable.
Oh, good call. Polarizing. I love asparagus, but it is polarizing.
It is. Because of the after effects, I think is another part of that.
Anything that gets paired that often with steak, I feel like isn't that polarizing.
Yeah.
Artichokes, spinach, and cabbage. I love spinach.
Good call.
Spinach is a good one.
I love cabbage.
See, I'm not a cabbage guy, but I am a spinach guy.
Cabbage
and
is a good one.
Artichokes. Oh, man. Artichoke hearts in a salad.
Yeah, that's the thing. And spinach and artichoke dip.
Oh, there you go.
A little pita, a little tortilla.
Yeah.
I don't care what you want. It's going to be good either way.
Exactly.
So, Number 2.
Number 2 for me is going to be the lone all-star in Ryan Helsley. He 100% deserves it, of course. There's no doubt that he needed to be the Cardinals all-star. It is a little bit weird to only have one, but that's just the way the things are going currently right now. 31 saves, 2.41 ERA. He has been the anchor to the bullpen this season, and the bullpen has been the biggest part of the Cardinals' success. When you're talking about the way that they've been able to weather the storm this season to get to this point, it's been because of the bullpen bending but not breaking.
And they have gone such a long stretch. He blew a save in his first opportunity, and then this weekend finally blew a second save, but the Cardinals still wound up winning the game.
But it was that ghost runner situation, too.
Yeah, right. So kind of a cheap blown save, but he's been fantastic. And I know there was a lot of talk early about the Cardinals perhaps moving him at the trade deadline. I don't think they're going to be selling now, but I would say that he's right now the best closer in the game. He's the guy that's getting the 27th out the most times. So take him over pretty much everybody.
Yep.
Brooke, I had an opportunity I went to Soulard on Saturday morning. Saturday afternoon, Katie and I went over to Whitmore and played a quick 9. It's so cool to have access to a course that's close enough, 20-minute drive away, so that you can decide at 1 o'clock, okay, we're going to go over and play 9 holes at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the afternoon and play. And it's always fun to, and you'll learn this as time goes by, it's fun to be able to play with your kid. And Katie likes playing, so we went out and had a great time on the course on Saturday afternoon.
Oh, that sounds like a lot of fun. She's a great golfer, at least from what I saw from Top Golf, which I know that,
she
it's
makes
Top
good
Golf.
contact. She's like all of us. She just needs to play more, and she will. I'll force her to. Number 1.
Quality time.
Yeah.
It's quality time. So number 1 for me is the long holiday weekend. It was just a great 4th of July weekend. I thought the weather was fantastic. There was a lot to do. I had a lot of fun just hanging out with friends. It was my birthday weekend, so we went out to a winery, and then I also saw Journey and Def Leppard. And so I have my T-shirt too, by the way. I didn't even mention this earlier. I have my Def Leppard T-shirt.
Oh, there it is. They're on the
so
YouTube
I'm
chat.
proving
Check
to you
it out.
guys that I am a fan. There we go.
Yeah.
I waited in line for this.
Did you really?
Yes.
You love Def Leppard.
Oh, I love Def Leppard. I should have done a Journey one too, even though I know that it's not the same band technically. I still like Journey songs.
Yeah, well, and they probably, I wonder if they have the guys from Journey like they do. They have the guys
I
for
didn't
Def
see
Leppard.
that.
Or maybe they just have a logo.
It was just the logo that they had for the shirts. But
Okay.
that is one of the more nerve-wracking things when you're waiting in line and you're trying to pick out a shirt and you're really thinking about, all right, which one is going to be the coolest one?
You got a cool one.
Okay.
You had to get the
Good.
coolest one. Definitely. So, Brooke, along the lines of the long weekend, our buddy John Fitzgerald, he's on the YouTube chat. And by the way, you can check us out on our Airlines Team studio cam. Go to YouTube and then just search out 101 ESPN STL. John made chicken quarter and 1.5-inch pork steaks, mac and cheese, and barbecue beans all on the Traeger. And I did a little barbecuing over the course of the weekend, too, with the Traeger and the Weber. Threw together some burgers from the Smokehouse Market, which were absolutely delicious. Burgers, brats, turkey burgers, chicken, and it was all fantastic. And this is the premier barbecuing weekend. I actually asked the folks over at Smokehouse Market on July 3rd, I said, is this your busiest day of the year? He said, pretty close, because it was packed. But the food was absolutely sensational, and the proteins were delicious. And then, did you get a chance to use your Weber iGrill yet?
I did not do much cooking this weekend,
Oh,
Randy,
good.
but
good,
I will here soon.
It's a difference maker to make everything absolutely perfect, and everything did wind up being absolutely perfect.
My number 1 was I saw Randy Carricker's post-radio, final career right in front of my eyes, which is we're going to be providing carrot cakes to Mike Johnson's restaurants after the
he did a
glowing
review
he gave you for the carrot cake. I think I can just picture you now in your kitchen churning out 50 carrot cakes because Mike's like, well, hey, I need them in all my Sugar Fire stores. I need them in hot beer, cold pizza. You're staffing out his bakery essentially in a new part of the restaurant. I see it now for Randy Carricker.
He did put that up on the Sugar Fire Insta.
I saw that.
Yeah, and he said that they have Sugar Fire Fire pies over at 170 and Olive. And
You got to expand.
he said you better
This is your
better watch out.
chance.
So, yeah, to get that sort of a compliment from Mike Johnson from Sugar Fire, and obviously they are the folks that are the proprietors of High Point and Hot Pizza Cold Beer over on Washington. Yeah, to get that sort of a compliment is about as high a compliment as I could get. And I really appreciate all the compliments I get for the carrot cake. I know Danny Mac probably ate that all weekend.
Ours is gone,
Is it?
by the way. Yes. Yes,
Good, I'm
we
glad.
enjoyed it.
Proud of you.
Yes.
Yeah, Matthew, did you guys...
There's a couple big chunks.
Okay.
I have yet to do what I'm going to eventually do, which is what Mike did, which is there will be a time where it's just the pan and me with a fork.
Yeah,
there will be no need for some kind of middleman plate or bowl
That's
like a
basically what
fool.
David did. Yeah.
Smart man.
David just went for
I want
it.
to shake his hand.
Proud. Good. That's three things we loved about the weekend here on 101 ESPN. Coming up, can the Cardinals having only one representative in the All-Star game be a good thing? That's next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you want a great lunch today, maybe you've been barbecuing over the course of the weekend and you've been working hard enough at the stove and at the grill, and you just want to get out and have a great meal. Well, lunch, maybe a little happy hour, maybe dinner tonight. Head to the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road in Fenton. It's only 2 minutes away from Soccer Park, and you will have absolutely great food. I was talking earlier about a great salad. Well, the house salad over at the Fenton Bar and Grill is absolutely delicious. It's cool and refreshing. But if you want to get a wrap, their chicken Caesar wrap is absolutely delicious. Some of the best burgers in town. And don't forget about, at Fenton Bar and Grill, the trashed wings. The best trashed wings that you'll ever have. They are so tasty, so flavorful. And you get them with either their signature golden sauce or their special Fenton Bar and Grill homemade ranch, and you will have a great appetizer to an absolutely fabulous meal. You love the people over at the Fenton Bar and Grill. Say hi to Kelly, the redhead Kelly, and say hi to Megan and Casey over there. The whole group is so much fun to be around, and they'll take care of you. And it's a great place for sports, too. If you want to have a great place after golf, a great happy hour, great lunch, great dinner, it's the Fenton Bar and Grill on Rudder Road. Learn more at FentonBarandGrill.com and tell them Randy sent you.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. The Cardinals yesterday beat the Nationals 8-3. They also took 2 of 3 from Pittsburgh over the long weekend and 2 of the first 3 in D.C. The finale today, first pitch at 3:05. It'll be Miles Mikolas facing off against the lefty for the Nationals, Mitchell Parker. Parker on the season 5-4 with a 3.61 ERA. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City was in action for their third game in 8 days, and it goes poorly for them against Colorado as they get rolled 4-1. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
No Cardinals were elected to the National League All-Star team, the 32-man roster, and the Cardinals only got one representative out of the 32 in the National League. That's their closer, Ryan Helsley. But, Brooke, I'm wondering, although you like the honor of the Cardinals being represented when they're good or when they're mediocre, and you like to see your own guys in the All-Star game, with the way this season has gone and the way the pitching staff has been utilized to this point, and with the normal Cardinal All-Stars performing the way they have, I'm thinking this might be a great thing for the Cardinals, that Arenado and Goldschmidt aren't going, and they weren't going to go anyway unless they got elected based on their histories. But Sonny Gray, the way things have gone over the course of the last 2-3 weeks, he might be better off sitting at home. I would think that the Cardinals, if Mason Wynn, who dealt with the hamstring issues or the back issues early in the season, Mason Wynn's probably better off not going to the All-Star game. Do you agree with me that this might be a blessing in disguise for the Cardinals only having Helsley go?
Oh, I think 100%, because you need your guys to get healthy and stay healthy, and you're getting some guys back. Lars Nootbaar, it looks like that he'll be returning with the team really soon, and that Tommy Edman, it will be starting his rehab assignment here soon, I believe a little bit later on this week, if I'm not mistaken. And so you're getting guys back healthy, but you're also getting the guys that you have here currently who have been really pushing through, gives them a little bit more time to rest up.
And I don't think the Cardinals really had anybody that got snubbed either. I think sometimes you have a year where your team isn't great. I would guess the best Cardinal that didn't make it is Sonny Gray, but I can't argue with the...
What about Mason Wynn?
Well, the problem is, sure, he's having a great year, but when you look at the shortstops, the infielders, shortstops in the National League and the infielders that are on the team, I don't think that we can say definitively that he's better than who's on the team or more deserving, because you had to have every team represented.
Well, among National League shortstops, his batting average is second, and his on-base percentage is third. Defensive runs saved 10th, which leads all of Major League Baseball shortstops. But then some of the other things come in, like WAR. And so that's where maybe some of the other stats stand out. But I think Mason Wood could be close to consideration. I don't think it's out of the question that he at least could be part of that conversation.
Right. The thing is, though, you see C.J. Abrams, you had to have a national, right? Mookie Betts, and he's not going to be there, but he had to be on the team. Elly De La Cruz, I mean...
the stolen bases.
And it's the all-star game. Mm-hmm. And all due respect to Wynn, Elly De La Cruz is one of the biggest stars in the game, and that doesn't even include some of the other shortstops that are performing at a high level.
And that's the thing is, in the Athletic, when they were breaking down the starting rosters, they were breaking down shortstop at the National League, and this was the list they put out of people who could have been in over Trey Turner. Elly De La Cruz, Francisco Lindor, Willie Adames, Ezekiel Tovar, and Hae-Sung Kim. So right there, they ripped off 5 guys, including Trey Turner being the one who actually was there, 6 guys without even mentioning Mason Wynn as kind of a next available in the starting spot. So I think that kind of shows you the depth of the shortstop position in the NL right now.
Yeah, so I'm fine with Wynn being off his feet for those days and coming back and hopefully being refreshed. And the team theoretically should get healthier and healthier. I still think that with Tommy Edman, you have to have him get the absolute maximum amount of time that he is allowed for a rehab stint. Nootbaar, I guess Nootbaar is going to be back this week, right?
Yeah.
At home. And after that, then you probably aren't going to see Riley O'Brien this year. I wonder if we see Matz. They're talking about Matz in August now. If we see Steven Matz on the Cardinals this year, it's going to be out of the bullpen.
It will be.
So I wonder if it might be better just to let him sit and deal. Be 100% and come back next spring, and then injure his back again next year.
I was waiting for you to sneak something in towards the end there. It's kind of sad, but it's
He's
the
a good
expectation
guy.
now. He is. He's a great guy, but at this point, he is what he is when it comes to the injuries. It happens every single year. They even knew it because they even shortened his spring training essentially to hopefully make it where he could be healthy this year. We got a text from the 314. Had he not gotten hurt, Wilson Contreras was the Cardinals' best player, so he could have been an all-star. But I think for the pitchers especially, don't you think that this break is really important?
It is. Yeah, those guys, the big three in the bullpen, hopefully Helsley doesn't even get used in the game. But I think the most important thing is Kittredge and Romero. And I think now Ryan Fernandez, I think, pitched in his 34th game yesterday. And he's pitched a lot more recently. I think they need to give those guys a break. I'll be intrigued, Brooke, after the break to see how the Cardinals deploy Matthew Liberatore. Is Liberatore going to wind up being a starter, a bullpen guy? And if he's a bullpen guy, is he going to be a high-leverage bullpen guy? Because we always talk about him being a long reliever, which generally means long reliever is not high leverage. So that's 7 up, 7 down. I think he's a high-leverage pitcher. I think that he's a guy that you have to use in important situations.
I think that would be a good use for him because we've seen it. I think that you can't completely give up on him as a starter. You have to see what you have there, and it feels like it's still a tryout. Now, Andre Palante has been impressive. Were you expecting that from Palante?
No, I wasn't. I thought that he should be a starter, but I figured that if he was going to be, first of all, I thought they'd use him as a reliever, even though I thought that he should be a starter. But I expected him to. He's showing front end ability. Now, is he going to be able to be consistent enough for that ability to manifest itself? I don't know, but his stuff and some of his performances lend itself to being a front of the rotation starter. I figured that even though he had pretty good stuff, I didn't know if he would have the command to be that guy. I thought he'd be more of a back of the rotation guy. I thought he'd fit in with the rest of the guys they have, honestly. But he's a guy that I think has a chance, maybe not this year, but to be a front-end starter. I remember before he ever pitched a game for the Cardinals, he pitched at, I think, Cal Irvine, which is right down the street from Mark McGuire, where he lives. And on opening day of 2020, in his rookie year, was that 23 last year? Or it might have been 22. McGuire said, watch this guy, because he's got great stuff, and he's going to be a good major league pitcher. So I always kept an eye on him and knew that he had the good stuff, but he's better than I thought he was going to be.
Yeah, I think that that's been a pleasant surprise. And Ryan Helsley this year, too, I thought this was interesting. He is just the 9th drafted and developed multi-time All-Star for the Cardinals, and just the 2nd pitcher joining Matt Morris for the Cardinals since the draft was instituted in 1965.
That's incredible. Wow, what a stat that is. That's a lot of years.
Well, and you had Carlos Martinez. He was an international signing, so it's a little bit different in that regard. But yeah, he's just the 9th drafted and developed multi-time All-Star.
Yeah, we have not had much luck. When you think about guys that had the chance, Alan Bennis, obviously the injuries held him back. A guy like Alan Watson was supposed to be great and never turned out being. So was Donovan Osborne, was supposed to be great. Isn't that amazing? Danny Cox, a guy like that the Cardinals have never had, that they haven't had in that long of a time frame more than a couple of multi-time drafted All-Stars.
And you know what that stat makes me think? Just put Dave Duncan in the Hall of Fame already.
Yeah, right.
Because, I mean, you had incredible pitching staffs, and none of it was ever consistently homegrown. And just put the guy in the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, and maybe Mike Rourke, too. Although, at least the Cardinal Hall of Fame, when you look at what he was able to do, and it was Hub Kittle that got Joaquin Andujar going, but John Tudor comes over here and pitches in a couple of All-Star games after the trades, and he'd been a 500 pitcher before he got here. Yeah, the Cardinals have done a great job historically with getting pitchers from elsewhere. That's one of the most amazing stats that I've ever heard.
It is. I think it's really interesting. And I think, too, I want to give credit to Oli Marmol and Dusty Blake. Calling him Dusty Blake in this situation. Yeah, we haven't talked about him really that much.
No,
but
done a good
remember,
job.
they decided in spring training that they would limit Helsley to only 9th inning appearances. We've talked about how much defined roles matter for players. I think Helsley is a good case of that.
And I like the way they set up the back end of their bullpen. I've always appreciated, and the Cardinals did this back in the 80s with Jeff Lottie and Ken Daly and Todd Worrell. And sometimes Ricky Horton would find his way into one of those 3 innings. But if the Cardinals had a lead after the 6th, and this is the reason that they didn't lose a game that they led after the 8th inning until Game 6 of the World Series, because it was Lottie, Daly, and then after August, Worrell. And before that, it was a bullpen by committee. It was Horton, Daly, Bill Campbell, and then Jeff Lottie at the end of games. But having a big 3 at the end, if you feel like you can win a game when you have a lead after the 6th inning, is a huge value to a manager and a pitching coach. And to be able to set it up that way, that's a smart way to do it, and they've done it in a really smart manner.
I saw that Ryan Helsley had a quote this weekend where he talked about maybe having Andrew Kittredge and JoJo Romero come up if there's some other pitchers who drop out to just help. And I'm like, let's give a break.
Let those arms rest.
I appreciate what he's saying because he wants
Yeah.
them, to get some more attention and credit for what they've done this season. But at the same time, I think a break's good.
And after today, the Cardinals come home. Before the All-Star break, they've got 2 against Kansas City and then 4 against the Cubs. And then the All-Star break will start 1 week from today as they'll play down in Arlington. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. And coming up, we've got Take It or Leave It. Get your text into the Air Comfort Service text line, 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! Take It or Leave It next on 101 ESPN. Hey, St. Louis, you can get your exclusive City SC debit card from Together Credit Union. Together Credit Union is the only place to find this official fan debit card, which comes with special perks like a free lifetime My City Plus membership, in-stadium discounts on food, beverages, and merchandise, and most exciting, express entry into City SC matches. And as a special bonus, Together Credit Union will also send you a commemorative print of City Park Stadium, the home of St. Louis City SC, while supplies last. How do you get the card? Easy. Open any personal checking account online at togethercu.org or stop by any Together Credit Union branch. There are 14 of them in the St. Louis metro area, and choose the St. Louis City SC debit card at account opening. There's no cost for the City SC debit card, so don't wait. Sign up today and show your pride for St. Louis City SC and take advantage of the great items that come with the card and most exciting express entry into City SC matches. Membership eligibility required, federally insured by the NCUA.
If you don't, send it right back.
Get your text into 314-399-9646 and give us your take it or leave it.
Brought to you by Gloria Lou Realty. Visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com and start packing.
That's my final offer. Take it or leave it.
Brooke, Matthew, and Randy, it's the opening drive on 101 ESPN, and time for Take It or Leave It. Brooke, over the weekend, Steph Curry, getting ready for the USA's Olympic venture in basketball, said that he doesn't think, with the departure of Klay Thompson from the Warriors, that there will be another basketball dynasty similar to what the Warriors had, the 4 championships in 8 years. Take it or leave it, Steph is wrong, and there will be another dynasty similar to what the Warriors enjoyed.
Ooh, that's tough. So you said, so the end of that was that you're saying, can you repeat the last part of it? Of what part I'm taking?
There will be another dynasty similar to what the Warriors had. 4 championships in 8 or 9 years.
I'll take it. I think that it will happen
I think so. I think it's going to happen with the Celtics.
I was going to say, the Celtics. I think the Celtics are a good case. Now, what they have at Golden State, that was an amazing run, but dynasties come and go. That's the whole purpose of it, right? There's going to be another one.
Yeah, there will. And the one thing about Boston is that they've got all their players under contract for the foreseeable future. And that's one of the things that Golden State enjoyed, aside from Kevin Durant showing up and leaving. They were able to keep Steph, Draymond, and Klay together. And that's what Boston's going to be able to do, too, is keep their nucleus together.
That's going to be so weird not seeing Klay with them.
And seeing him in the Dallas green, it's going to be weird.
I don't like that. Yeah, I'm going to leave that portion of that as well. All right, take it or leave it. I was thinking about this last night. This is a little controversial, okay? This might be a hill to die on, if you will. Take it or leave it. Hotels are better than Airbnbs. Now, I know that there's little differences here and there, but with Airbnbs, the last Airbnb I stayed at, of course, it was with a bigger group of people. So there is a benefit with that you can all stay in one place. Right. But there's so many rules with Airbnbs. There's a cleaning fee, which is really expensive because you think, oh, well, it's not that bad to stay at this Airbnb. And then they hit you with that cleaning fee. But then you also end up having to clean everything yourself because a lot of the Airbnbs have rules where you have to strip like the sheets and put them in the washer and start in the washer for them even. There's so many rules with Airbnbs. With hotels, especially if you plan it well, free breakfast, okay? Because that's what I'm always looking for. That's like number one on the itinerary is a free breakfast. They clean your room for you. Pretty good check-ins. Most of them are 24/7, so you can check in and check out really whenever you want, other than obviously you can't overextend your stay. But the hotels, I think, are way better than Airbnbs when you think about it. Now, if it's a big group of people, obviously you're paying for more rooms, so it's not as exciting, but there's more benefits to hotels than Airbnbs.
Yeah. After giving this some pretty substantial thought over the course of the last 30 seconds, I'm going to take it. I'm going to take the hotels are better. I love the idea of leaving in the morning, going out and
come back to a clean room.
It's magic.
It is.
You come back and the bed is made and the room is clean. And like you said, here's the thing. The nature of the Airbnb is that you have to do some of your own work, even if, even cooking. Like they have a kitchen.
Grocery shopping.
Right. You don't have to, but the option is there. Isn't the option having no option that you have to go out to eat? Isn't that a great option?
It is.
It's a freeing breeze, the top of a hill, isn't it, Brooke?
It is. It really is.
You get on top of that hill and you say, hey, listen now, and the breeze comes through and that it hits your head. That's freedom, Brooke. That's freedom and truth right there.
I will say, because the last time I stayed at an Airbnb was for my bachelorette trip, and it was great to be in one house with all of my girlfriends, right? But then there were so many different weird things that were happening. One of the doors wouldn't lock. And so we're like a house full of girls, and we couldn't get in touch with the person who was in charge of the Airbnb. So we just had a unlocked door the entire time, and they couldn't come in and fix it. There were so many cleaning rules because you don't want the cleaning fees for Airbnbs. That's where, like I said, that's where they really stick you. And so I think it's just nice to hotel, free breakfast. So that's one meal out of the way that you don't have to pay for. It's nice.
Here's the other thing is about an Airbnb is that I want the simplicity. If I'm going to watch TV, I just want to turn on the TV and have the cable or the dish be there. I don't want to have the frustration of having to figure out their smart TV, right? I don't want to do that. And I don't want to give them my credentials, my password and everything. So I love the idea of being able to go into a hotel room, turn on the TV, go to the ABC and watch college football or whatever. So I'm with you, Brooke. That's a great one. Take it.
Take it or leave it. Jordan Walker is no longer an untouchable.
I'm going to leave that for the Cardinals, but in theory, I think the Cardinals have probably come pretty close to breaking him. I don't think that should be the case. I don't think he should be an untouchable, but I think he is.
I'm going to leave it. I think that at this point, though, I think it's interesting you brought up the breakable portion of this because we haven't seen him. And it doesn't sound like, just based off of recent comments from John Mozeliak and Oli Marmol, that we will see him anytime soon. Doesn't it feel that way?
It does. He was a better player 2 years ago than he is right now when he was playing at AA. And he has regressed under Cardinal tutelage. Now yesterday, John Mozeliak went on KMOX and said it's all about production for him. When the Cardinals sent him down, Oli Marmol said, hopefully he can go down and get his pitch this is to paraphrase, his pitch selection and his loft to a point where he can come back and help us. Didn't mention production at all, mentioned process. And then all of a sudden, not all of a sudden, I don't know at what point, but now it's about numbers. Yeah, the process became production. So I would have to believe that he's feeling that there's mixed messaging, because there is, certainly to us, and it's not working for him. He took the day off yesterday. They have a day off, or they were off yesterday, and they're off today. I think he went 0 for 5 on Saturday. He's just having a terrible time down there. And I wonder if the Cardinals are wasting an incredible asset here.
There you go. Take it or leave it. With Jim Harbaugh at the helm, the Chargers can overtake the Chiefs.
Take it.
Ooh,
whoa, really?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Why are you buying into that?
Because he's won everywhere he's been and won quickly. And one of the things about the Chiefs, and this is taking nothing away because they're very similar to the greatest show on turf. But football now is not a smash mouth game. And when you play a smash mouth game like Jim Harbaugh does, everybody freaks out because they don't know how to deal with it. And I have to believe that the Chargers are going to pound teams into submission. I think it's notable when the general manager of a team that has Justin Herbert says the superstars on this team are going to be the offensive linemen. And they went out and they invested, and they've got guys, and they've spent 2 first-round draft choices, their last 2 on tackles. They've got a really good offensive line. And it's going to be like what we saw with the Rams when Harbaugh went to San Francisco. Remember that offensive line? They're just going to beat the hell out of people.
I'm still going to leave it. I still figure that the Chiefs find a way. Now, Justin Herbert is a sneaky good quarterback. I don't think he gets enough credit because obviously what the Chargers have been doing as of late. But now that you have Harbaugh in there, that will be a great combination to have. Yeah,
it'll be the best pro quarterback that Jim Harbaugh's ever had.
And to your point, I think I threw out the stat a couple weeks ago. Justin Herbert has the highest average amount of attempts per game in NFL history with 39 passing attempts per game. Something tells me that's going to change.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're going to be good quickly, by the way. If you go back, let me just quickly, Matthew, you can give the next, I'll give you a stat. You give our next Teola here.
Take it or leave it. The Joseph brothers combined for 50-plus points this year and then both resign.
Oh, yeah, I'll take it.
50 points is a long time.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
That's 30 from, that's like 35 from Matthew, and then like 15, 18 from Pierre Olivier.
That's quite a bit. Did you see, randomly, just talking about Justin Herbert, what Cam Newton said recently? He always says something because he was a podcast, but he said that he would take Dak Prescott over Justin Herbert. Would you?
Yeah, he's stupid. No, you wouldn't do that. No, nobody in their right mind would do that. It's amazing that a guy could go through an NFL career and not understand the position at all.
So you won an MVP.
So here's
and then what happened?
The 49ers before Jim Harbaugh got there, okay? From 2003 through 2010 with people other than Jim Harbaugh as their coach. 7-9, 2-14 under Dennis Erickson. 4-12, 7-9, 5-11 under Mike Nolan. Nolan and Mike Singletary combined to go 7-9. Singletary goes 8-8. Singletary and Mike Tomsula go 6-10. And then Jim Harbaugh takes over. They go 13-3 and win the division with the same cast of characters. And that's the same thing that's going to happen in San Diego. He's going with the LA Chargers. He's going to take over that team, and they're going to be really good. And love Spags, but it's about the Jimmies and the Joes, not the X's and the O's. And I think that the Jimmies and the Joes that they've collected with the Chargers, I would think that they'll probably out-physical a lot of teams, including the Chiefs.
Take it or leave it. You are not very discouraged by City SC this season because it's only their second season.
Take it. 100%.
I'll take it. It's growing pains, right?
Yeah, and
it
that's
was
one of the
great
reasons.
The first season, of course.
Here's the thing: if they have this year, last year, and then last year, this year, Bradley Cardinal is a hero. We got off to that bad start. We're supposed to have a bad first year of expansion, and then expectations were low. Bradley Cardinal's problem, and Lutz admitted it when they had the press conference to announce that they were firing Cardinal. He said he built expectations last year. Well, you shouldn't. And by the way, Lutz started off saying before last year he expected to not be good for a long time. Mm-hmm. And then Cardinal outperforms expectations, and that's what got him fired.
It's weird, too, because Lutz's big thing has been having like a 5 to 6 year plan. Yep. And so it's just why, I love the idea of having a 5 or 6 year plan, because the idea is you're not going to let outside variables that you weren't going to let affect your decisions before. You aren't going to let them affect your decisions randomly with inside that thing. But that's exactly what happened.
But Matthew, what changed? What changed?
Expectations.
From
the fans in the organization.
And Diego Gigliani
that's
arrived.
Yeah.
Right. A different guy.
You always have to account for it when there's a change in somebody in the front office.
He's the president and general manager.
Yeah.
I think it's just still so surprising to me. And it's obviously early on in this change, so maybe our opinion will change over the course of the rest of the season. But there's so many injuries this season, too. It's hard to really just base what their performance off of that fully, because you've had, what did I send you guys last night? They basically, all their top paid guys are out or injured at this point.
Yeah.
And also, it was a little bit kind of like a Cardinals offseason where they made some moves to fill some big gaps, but they left some other holes with the idea of our young players are going to develop and then we'll make a move in mid-season. They're making the moves at mid-season, but the problem is the young players didn't develop and fill the hole of Nico Gioacchini and Jared Stroud scoring, and therefore you were losing games and drawing games that you would have been winning last year because you just had one more goal or one more assist from the players that you didn't replace. But at the same time, it is kind of like a Cardinals one where you did a good job replacing players. Durkin and Totland have been extremely important to this team.
Yeah. By the way, if you're going to not pay Mbappe, by the way, and you've got the lowest payroll in the league, right?
Lowest or second lowest.
So should we not be spending a ton of money on, like, Jurgen Klopp is our guy, right?
The USA is circling him now.
Yeah, but they can't pay him.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're right.
We can pay him. And we got a free zoo.
Can see.
Oh, the free zoo. That's the top selling point right there.
He's gonna get paid like he's gonna get paid like millions of dollars, and
apparently USA Soccer is not going to pay a guy like that. Is he the best coach in the world?
The best available coach in the world, yes. Because he literally just leaves Liverpool after the run that he's had there, and he was at Dortmund before that.
I'm paying attention to social media.
So yeah, he's actually available for once, and usually great club managers like that don't always become available for national jobs like his. So that's why everyone wants to throw out the name. And him and Pulisic apparently have a really good relationship.
So when I was at KTRS, we had our Christmas party, and that's when I found out I was getting fired, and then I got fired a couple of weeks later.
I don't mean to laugh, but just the way that you
So I was the last one. I was the last one to know I was getting whacked. But wouldn't you hate to be Greg Berhalter? To know he still got the job today, but everybody's talking about who his replacement is going to be.
You just start planning vacations. Okay, wait. How did you find out at the Christmas party before? So you just had to sit on it?
So,
I don't know if I know this story.
I knew I was getting whacked. So, but no, it's, so like nobody would talk to me, and then one of the salespeople came over and said, "Hey, there's rumors going around." So, but then McGraw Millhaven, he left and they hired him back. He's been there forever. So we knew we were going to get whacked. So we went out and did a Christmas appearance for the station at a mall, and then we both came back and got fired. Yeah, with the knowledge that it was
I'm sorry for the silence. I know that silence isn't great in radio, but it was just my jaw dropping a little bit. This industry always has some crazy stories, though, when it comes to firings.
The late, great Whitey Herzog, one of my favorite sports stories ever. After they finished the season, I think so they go to the playoffs 76, 77, 78, get knocked out by the Yankees each of those years. And Whitey said, beautiful day in Kansas City, so I kissed Mary Lou goodbye. I said, I'm going to go get fired and then go play golf. And he did. He went and got fired, and then played golf, and then came home. So it's, when you know, you might as well, you're going to have some time off. Might as well take advantage of it. That's Tioli. Thanks for your text. We do appreciate it on 101 ESPN. Coming up, should the Cardinals' big deadline move be in the lineup or with the pitching staff? That's coming your way on 101 ESPN. Hey, guys, if you're not feeling your best this morning, if you're a little bit fatigued, if you're just down about the weekend, even after a 4-day weekend and you don't have the energy you thought you'd have, you should get in touch with my friends at Mentality, especially if you're a guy beyond your 30th birthday. What happens when you're a guy beyond your 30th birthday is that your testosterone level decreases, and so does your energy level. At Mentality, they have an FDA-approved testosterone supplemental treatment that will get your testosterone level, i.e. your energy level, back to where it was when you were in your 20s. Go to lowtusa.com and find out what they do. Make an appointment at one of their great clinics, either in Chesterfield or in South County. And what they're going to do is have their board-certified physicians do a complete panel of your blood work to find out where your testosterone level is and then restore it to the upper levels of where it was when you were in your 20s. And you will feel much different. It'll make a huge difference in your life. And they're going to work with your insurance company to make sure that your out-of-pocket expenses are as low as can possibly be. Most times, you don't have any out-of-pocket expenses. It's Mentality. Learn more right now at lowtusa.com.
perspective on today's top stories. This is Fresh Take.
Presented by Lindenwood University. Real experience, real success.
They're not going to be sellers. They're going to be buyers. And what is interesting is, can they turn guys like, I don't know, Dylan Carlson perhaps into something else? They have Ivan Herrera coming off the injured list as well, giving them a little bit more depth at catcher. They have major league pieces to trade, and major league pieces in this market are going to be valuable because with so many teams in contention in this era of expanded playoffs, teams are not going to want to give up necessarily prospects or make certain kinds of moves. But if they can fill a need with major leaguers from your club and give you perhaps excess from their own, that is going to be valuable.
That is Ken Rosenthal on his podcast last week saying that the Cardinals will not be sellers and they will be buyers. So that leads us to believe. Number one, let's start with this, Brooke. Do you agree with his assessment about what the Cardinals have to sell and should be selling when he talks about Dylan Carlson? Will he have market value? Can the Cardinals move one of their young catchers? Would that be a possibility? Do you agree with what he's talking about with their major league ready young players?
100%, because I think that, one, they should be still looking at a starter. So what can you get for that? Because I think that you still need to look at another starter for the starting rotation. They have been able to bend but not break so far, especially with the ages. I don't think anybody was expecting that this season, that with the ages of the starting rotation that they would be able to withstand this point into the season. But are they going to be able to consistently keep that up, I think is the big question. You need some reinforcements there. You need some reinforcements in the bullpen. So you have to be able to acquire those things. I think Dylan Carlson is the obvious odd man out here. Now, what his trade value will look at would be my big question, because what can you get for him? He's not one of the main starting outfielders, so how will other teams evaluate that?
And I would think that other teams will say, 24-year-old guy who was a top prospect.
Switch hitter, but not exactly working out still.
Right. With an organization that has shown a propensity to not be able to develop everybody that they have, and have in the past traded really talented young outfielders especially. So maybe this is the next one that the Cardinals move on from. I would think that there's teams out there that would be willing to take a flyer on a guy like Carlson, especially if they have a relief pitcher that's not going to be around. Right now, when you look at what Liberatore, because let me start with this. I don't think that there's a number one where you say, okay, that's a guy that can pitch for the Cardinals in the postseason and be a front of the rotation guy. I love Garrett Crochet, and I would pay in player value for Garrett Crochet, but he's already zoomed past his all-time career innings number. So I don't think that Crochet this year is going to be a guy where you say, okay, he's a number one in the postseason. I don't know if that pitcher is going to be available to the Cardinals. Would I give up a lot to get Tarek Skubal from Detroit? Yeah, he pitched great yesterday. There are pitchers out there that I would give up a lot for, but I don't know that they will be available to the Cardinals. So with that being the case, I'm going to roll the dice on Palante and Liberatore in my rotation, and I want to reinforce my bullpen. I feel like with getting Newt Barr back, and I know this is a roll of the dice because Newt has been hurt. The Nutty Neuters of Newt Nation have been disappointed this year because we haven't been able to cheer for our guy. But I think with Newt Barr coming back, and with the return of Wilson Contreras, I think the offense is going to be as good as it can possibly be. I don't know that you're going to add somebody to this offense that you say, okay, that's a difference maker. That's oomph in the middle of the lineup. I don't count on Tommy Edman, by the way, being a great offensive player for the Cardinals. So what am I adding? If I'm the Cardinals, I'm focusing in on the bullpen.
I think so, too. I think in order, it would be another reliever. And then for me, secondary is still going to be, I would even say, a lefty starter, because right now the rotation currently has 5 right-handers. So a lefty that can slot in between the mid-tier duo of like Gibson and Michaelis, I think would be a good addition to this team that would really fortify things for me personally.
How do you feel about Matthew Liberatore being that guy?
But then we were discussing earlier that you would like to see him in the bullpen too. So if you could move him back to the bullpen, I don't think it's a terrible idea, especially in high leverage situations. But at the same time, do you feel comfortable enough with him as a starter? I think that you have to give it a shot, but we're getting a little bit close here towards the end where every single game matters. That concerns me a little bit.
Another question then. Would you, because we're all about different opinions here, would you give up a bunch for Garrett Crochet?
I'm afraid of what that return or what they would be looking for. Aren't you?
I'm not worried about that as much as I'm trying to win this year. My focus is on winning in 2024. Crochet, before this year, his career, he'd pitched almost exclusively out of the bullpen, and his career innings high before this year was, hold on, let me get it, 54 and a third in 2021. Came off of Tommy John last year, only threw 12 and 2/3. They put him in the rotation this year, and he's thrown 105 and a third coming off of Tommy John. Leads the majors in starts, by the way, with 19, and he's been great. He's got a 3.08 earned run average, leads the American League with 146 strikeouts and only 23 walks in those 105 and a third. But my question is, in September and October, which is what you're making a trade for,
yes,
is he going to be what he's been in the first half of the season?
Probably not because of the usage that you talked about, but maybe you have him start out in the pen and then build him back up when it gets closer towards September so he'd be ready for the playoffs. So that would be one way to handle that situation. I think another question I have, which Ken Rosenthal brought up, is what do you do about the three catchers now? Because the emergence of Pedro Pages as really their best defensive option, what does that do with Ivan Herrera? Is he something that you look at as a trade possibility?
Again, my focus, it would be during the offseason. But my focus at this trade deadline is trying to win this year because you never know what can happen in the playoffs. And I want the Cardinals to give themselves the best opportunity. What if Pages gets hurt? I don't have a third catcher in my system that can play. We saw that when Contreras got hurt. So if you trade Ivan Herrera and Pages gets hurt, you've got Contreras, but then who else? I think that's a real gamble on the part of the Cardinals. And Herrera and Contreras have both been hurt this year.
Yeah.
So I think that's something that the Cardinals have to concern themselves with.
I know Pedro Pages, though, his emergence, though, defensively, I think definitely has changed or at least pushed that conversation forward a little bit.
Yeah, and that's something I would absolutely look at during the offseason. But I want to try to win this year. And so I'm willing to give up talent to get that starting pitcher or to get that bullpen guy. I just don't think that starting pitcher, that what you want to get, if I'm the Cardinals, I want to get an impact starting pitcher, and I'm willing to give up a lot for it. Like when the Dodgers got Max Scherzer a few years ago, or when the Astros got Verlander a few years ago. That's the sort of impact I'm looking for. I just don't think that guy's available.
But that's not Mo's MO. What has he done previously during the trade?
See,
and I know that you're talking about off season here, but I'm thinking about what they kind of currently, how they do things and how they've done them over the past few seasons, especially is at the trade deadline, they acquire some of those older pitchers like a John Lester, Quintana, Jordan Montgomery even. Now, those were surprises that worked out, but it feels like that maybe would be what they would do.
And they didn't do it when they had Pujols and Molina, right? And Wainwright. They didn't add to those guys to get those guys one more championship. So your question is valid. I'm just saying what I would like to do. But the reality is they'll probably wind up, as Ken Rosenthal said, with a bullpen guy.
Yeah. So from the 5-7-3, with the age of our rotation, I think it's critical to have Libby fill that long relief role on those days that our starters can't get through the third or fourth inning.
Yeah, then you have to have a quick hook, though. You can't you can't have a Lance Lynn performance. You can't allow your starter to allow 9 runs on 10 hits or whatever it was. You just can't do that. So that's the situation where once you see that that Lynn doesn't have it on a particular day, then Liberatore's got to be in the game quickly. You can't let the game get out of hand like they did the other night. So I think that we're looking at the Cardinals probably winding up with a bullpen arm. And the thing about Liberatore as a starter, and the other thing about old starting pitchers is that they get hurt.
And that's what concerns me.
Yeah. So
that's why I'm wanting to add another starter because it just feels like I'm not wishing that. But if you look at just even look at the league this year. How many pitchers have we seen injuries with?
Oh, man. Look at
It's
look
insane.
At Texas. Yeah.
Yeah.
Look at the defending champions.
The Brewers starting rotation.
Right.
Look at the guys they've had to bring
it's
in.
It's a disaster area.
Yeah.
And by the way, they made a nice trade for Savali last week. That doesn't happen. You don't get to trade for starting pitchers in July, the early part of July, but they did it, and that was a smart move on their part. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up next here on 101 ESPN, Mizzou had a huge weekend recruiting-wise. What heights can they reach this season? That's next on 101 ESPN.
It's time for a DraftKings at Casino Queen Redbird report on 101 ESPN.
Brooke Grimsley here for your Redbird Report. Plenty to celebrate for the Cardinals over the holiday weekend. The Cardinals take 2 of 3 against the Pirates and have taken 2 of 3 against the Nationals with the series finale today. Yesterday, Wilson Contreras hit a 2-run homer and drove in 3 runs, while Nolan Gorman and Nolan Arenado each added 2 RBIs in the Cardinals' 8-3 victory over the Nationals. Kyle Gibson pitched into the 6th inning. He gave up 3 runs on 9 hits, walked 2, and struck out 8. The Cardinals are 47-42 on the season, tying their season-best record of 5 games over 500. The series finale against the Nationals today is at 3 with Miles Michaelis getting the start.
The Redbird Report is presented by DraftKings at Casino Queen. Play, stay, dine at DraftKings at Casino Queen.
Hey, if you want to advance in your job, you should advance in your education, and you should check out Lindenwood University's online program, because you can advance your career with Lindenwood's online program. It's flexible, it provides accessible online learning, and you can choose from over 35 industry-relevant degree programs, including options for military members and military students. Learn more at online.lindenwood.edu. And when you go to Lindenwood Online, they're going to work with you to apply credit for prior learning and experience. They have the top-ranked online MBA program in Missouri, according to Fortune Education, in 2023 and 2024. They're going to make it easy for you in terms of a schedule, and they're going to help you advance in your career. You can do it. You can move forward in your career with affordable, industry-relevant online programs that are perfect for working adults. You can learn about Lindenwood's programs online at online.lindenwood.edu. For the top online program in Missouri, go to Lindenwood. Check out their website, online.lindenwood.edu.
I've been covering Mizzou recruiting now for 21 years. I think you've been with me, John, 8 to 10. And this is the first year I can remember, like with multiple kids, Missouri is actually landing kids who had legitimate opportunities to play at places like Texas and Georgia and Alabama and Oklahoma. I mean, I'm not sure before this year Missouri has ever landed a kid from Texas that had a Texas offer.
Except for maybe Chase Daniel. Huh?
That was the whole thing with Chase. Is Texas didn't come.
They offered him after Ryan Perrilloux went to LSU. They called him up, and he said, "No, I've already committed to Mizzou."
Yeah, I'm saying.
But he had an offer from Texas, and he wound up going to Mizzou.
That's true. But I think Gabe was saying before Mizzou, before Mizzou offered the kid.
Oh, okay. So I'm just saying.
But that's a good point. You're right.
That's facts here. But that's Gabe DeArmond from the Power Mizzou podcast, and this is an unusually strong recruiting year for Missouri. They have so many advantages. Number one, they have Eli Drinkwitz, who has totally embraced NIL, and he's playing both sides of the NIL game. He's doing a great job of fundraising, and he's doing a great job of getting players in, because it's all about money now. It's how much are you paying the players. Under normal circumstances, would Missouri be able to compete with Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama for players? No, but the game has changed dramatically, and in this particular year, Eli and the Tigers are on a roll. They had a huge weekend with 3 4-star commits for the 2025 class and a 4th top 100, and is picking up steam as the SEC favorite with a winnable schedule. And the question becomes, what heights can Mizzou reach this season? They have, for the 2025 class, they've gotten commitments from 4-star wide receivers Javon Boggs and Donovan Oligbode. Also, offensive lineman Lamont Rogers, a 4-star performer, and offensive lineman Keaton Jones, a 3-star. And they're in on another 4-star who's scheduled to announce on Wednesday, Charles Bass, safety from East St. Louis. And Brooke, when I look at what Mizzou's schedule is, based on who they have coming back, I see no reason why they shouldn't contend at the very least for a playoff spot, if not for a bye in the first round of the playoffs.
And this is why the 12-team playoff format, I believe, is a good thing. I know that when you hear, okay, more teams added to this, no, now you actually are giving more universities an opportunity to be able to compete at that high level. We talk about how there's way too many bowl games. Now it just means more, and that's kind of a little pun there with SEC, but it does mean more because you have the 12-team playoff format. Now you have Mizzou, who is a budding program right now with what they're building under Eli Drinkwitz. They actually have a chance to actually make that 12-team playoff format and make a great run at things. You brought up the recruiting thing, and I think that that is the hallmark of a great college football coach, is recruiting and developing. And Eli Drinkwitz, in the short time, has been able to show that he's able to do more of that and can do that and compete with the best amongst college football. And that's what is catching the attention of a lot of the other young recruits. I mean, you mentioned Jones this past weekend, yesterday. I mean, it was a busy weekend for Eli Drinkwitz on the recruiting trail. He was the 9th 4-star recruit in Mizzou's 2025 class, extending a program record. Eli Drinkwitz is really doing a lot for this program. And also, you have more revenue coming in. I know that sounds silly, maybe just a little bit, because it's like, well, does that stuff really matter? Facilities do matter to prospects and to recruits coming in. They look at that stuff. You have that $62 million coming in. They're extending and growing Furrow Field and making that bigger and more of a, I guess, rowdy atmosphere is the best way to put it. The renderings look fantastic, by the way, and the atmosphere is growing because of the product that Eli Drinkwitz is putting on the field.
And with that, with the product, with the fun, Gabe tweeted at Power Mizzou's X page, "We told you all recruiting like this wasn't possible at Mizzou because in 17 years we'd never seen it. We've been proven way, way wrong." And I think there was always an opportunity for Mizzou. They went out and they recruited people like Jeremy Macklin. They got DGB. They've been able to get those a few guys at a time. And what my concern was, and I said they'd never be able to consistently get 4- and 5-star guys because Georgia has done it regardless of who the coach was. Alabama has done it regardless of who the coach is. Even Miami has been able to recruit regardless of who the coach has been. The prospects of this becoming a great program when Eli Drinkwitz isn't the coach anymore have been raised significantly. The NIL law being ahead of the game in Missouri. But, Brooke, you mentioned the big thing is what you have to do is set a trend, and that's what Mizzou has done. And another quote, another tweet from Power Mizzou. Is there any school in the country that has changed its recruiting profile and prospects in the NIL era more than Mizzou? Welcome to your new recruiting neighborhood, Tigers fans. So if the program is able to recruit rather than the coach, then you've really got something. I'll be interested to see long term if Missouri truly has reached that level where they can recruit with the Oklahomas, Texases, Alabamas, Georgias, Notre Dames of the world.
Well, the fact that you're already stealing players from Oklahoma, I think that says a lot. That's why I'm really looking forward to that Mizzou-Oklahoma game, because it's like a little new rivalry that you have going on there, considering how many players, one, that Eli Drinkwitz has been able to take away from Oklahoma, recruiting-wise, and it's been funny to see the Sooners fans get so upset and angry about it that I'm really looking forward to that game.
It's funny you mention that because Gabe actually talked about that in the podcast about how, like, it's not really a rivalry because when you were in the same conference, they routinely, just without fail pretty much, except for like 4 or 5 big times, would just kick you into the dirt every single time.
Right.
But now you have the Oklahoma message boards freaking out because you just lost a prospect to the Tigers, and gives you a little bit of a different feel.
Yeah, and Jeremy Macklin originally had committed to Oklahoma before he decommitted and decided to come to the Tigers. But the thing was, then they go out and beat you 63-14 or whatever in the SEC or in the Big 12 championship game. Times have changed. Missouri is much closer to Oklahoma, Georgia, Alabama, Texas, the SEC version of Texas, than they ever have been. And hopefully this is the year where they break through and compete for a national championship. And Eli is convinced that they're capable of it. And if they do, then he'll have done something that has never been dreamed of, I guess dreamed of, but never been a realistic thought for Missouri fans, and that's competing for a national championship.
And when you're talking about growing the program, I hope that Eli Drinkwitz stays for a while, but his name was already mentioned when Alabama came up. The fact that his name was brought up with that, I think, says a lot about how he's also gained national attention, because don't you think that Eli Drinkwitz, I know that we're still early on in this building phase with him, but what he's been able to display with, one, what he's been able to do turning around this team, but with NIL and recruiting and developing, that's something that every single team in college football wants for their program.
I was talking to an Arkansas booster, and Johnny Tyson, the Tyson chicken guy who got Calipari to Arkansas, his sights now are set on Drinkwitz. And I said, well, you better make him governor of the state, because he basically is here. Because when he wants a law instituted, he's got Curtis Gregory in the legislature. Curtis Gregory writes up a law, and it gets voted on, and they make it law, and the governor signs it. I said, he better have that sort of juice with the government in Arkansas if you're going to get him, because he's got everything he wants here. He basically runs the state. And that's not a bad thing to have. It's hard to get that kind of juice in any state that he has in the state of Missouri.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Tyson needs to stay away.
Just he doesn't have a lot of money.
I know, it's ridiculous.
Well, and he loves the fact that Eli is
I guess it's the good and bad with all the NIL stuff. I know that that's for players, but still kind of showcasing the money that he can get for coaches.
But I think the other part of it is, and I think I don't know this to be fact, but I hear a lot of things and I try to connect the dots. I think Eli was able to get his own athletic director in place at Mizzou, too. I think he was able to get an athletic director that he wasn't necessarily on the same page to leave, and I think he got an athletic director that he's on the same page with now. And it's all about football, and it's all about Eli. It's not about basketball. It's not about women's basketball. It's not about baseball. It's all about Eli, and that's the way he wants it. And by the way, that's the way it should be with SEC football. But I think that it appears as if, this is just my own personal opinion, it seems like he's got everything that he wants at Mizzou.
And that's what you have to do to keep him happy.
Right. That's how you win. We're in the SEC now.
It's football.
It's football.
It just means more.
It just means more. Coming up next on 101 ESPN, we've got the fight. Matthew, do you need a fighter?
I almost forgot. We do need a fighter. Yes,
Okay,
I had to go back and check.
I'm rusty. I haven't done a fight for a long time. So now is your opportunity.
Ooh.
Text in 314-399-9646, 314-399. Yo-ho! The fight coming your way next on 101 ESPN. Hey, if you are in the market to sell your home, then you need to get in touch with my friend Gloria Liu from Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. She does an amazing job, and if you need a reliable, experienced, and trusted agent, and trust me, you do, take it from me and get to know Gloria Liu. Here's why you should call, because her name is her promise and says it all. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. Gloria's mastered the home selling promise by guaranteeing upfront and in writing to sell your home at your agreed to price and time frame, or she'll buy it herself, guaranteed. Does your agent compare? Gloria has solutions for every kind of home seller. If you want an option to consider, then check out a fast sale with no hassles. Gloria's 24-hour cash offer solution is a great one. No showings, no costly repairs, and you pick the closing date. You always get the highest cash offer bid from Gloria's database of buyers in what she calls her cash offer bid box. Get in touch with Gloria Liu today at 314-325-6888, 314-325-6888, or just visit GloriaHasTheBuyers.com.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling. The Cardinals over the long weekend finished off a win in Pittsburgh, taking 2 out of 3, and they took 2 out of 3 in D.C. They're not done with that series, though. They could still just leave with a split. Final today is at 3:05. Miles Michaelis face off against the lefty for the Nationals, Mitchell Parker. Parker on the season 5-4 with a 3.61 ERA. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City falls again in their third game in 8 days, and John Hackworth falls to 1-1 on the season as the interim head coach, and they lose again to the Rapids 4-1. That is your Sports Center update brought to you by Saliga Heating and Cooling, an independent American Standard heating and air conditioning dealer.
Welcome to the fight. In the red corner, Average Joe Listener. And in the blue corner, the undisputed king of morning drive. Please welcome Randy Carricker.
Welcome back to the opening drive. Brooke and Matthew Rocchio here, and it is time for the fight. And our fighter today is Garrett. Garrett, how are you doing?
Doing all right. You guys?
Oh, we're doing great. Have you ever faced Randy before in the fight?
I have twice.
And how did that go?
We tied 4-4, and I lost in overtime, and 3-3 and lost in overtime.
Ooh, so we might have another overtime battle. You heard Randy. He might be a little bit rusty today after the long holiday weekend for us. Did you have a good holiday weekend, by the way?
It was good.
Nice. All right, you ready to...
I'm predicting a 3-3 tie.
Uh-oh. Oh, you heard that, Garrett. The pressure's on.
All right.
All right, you ready for question number 1?
Yep.
Okay. Which current American League franchise won the first Modern World Series in 1903? Was it Oakland, Boston, or Baltimore?
Boston.
When Ronnie Lott had his finger unceremoniously amputated in a 1985 game, which team were the 49ers playing? Was it the Rams, the Cowboys, or the Falcons?
Cowboys.
Happy birthday to Hall of Famer and legend Jack Lambert. Prior to his Steelers career, Lambert played his college ball with both Gary Pinkel and Nick Saban at which school? Was it West Virginia, Purdue, or Kent State?
Say the question again for me.
Happy birthday to Hall of Famer and legend Jack Lambert. Prior to his Steelers career, Lambert played his college ball with both Gary Pinkel and Nick Saban at which school? Was it West Virginia, Purdue, or Kent State?
Purdue.
All right, number 4. Which manager led the Yankees through the best run in Major League Baseball history, winning 5 straight World Series from 1949 to 1953? Was that Bucky Harris, Casey Stengel, or Billy Martin?
Casey Stengel.
All right, double check the score, and I'll bring in Randy Carricker.
All right, how are you feeling, Garrett?
Oh, football's not my strong suit, so we'll see.
What would you say your top trivia categories are for sports?
Probably basketball, baseball.
Okay. Oh, here comes Randy. Grapes in hand. He did not finish them.
No.
So not demolished.
Oh, good.
Usually they're completely gone.
I have 4 left.
Oh, there's 4 left. Randy, say hi to Garrett.
Garrett, good morning. How you doing?
Doing all right, Randy. How about you?
I'm doing well. Thanks for listening. Thanks for playing. We appreciate it.
He has faced you before. And let's just say that it's been some close battles between you two. So maybe we'll have that again today.
Has he dominated me?
No, it's a 4-4 tie, and
yeah.
you beat him, and a 3-3 tie, and you beat him.
Oh, okay.
Are you ready to face Garrett?
I'm ready.
Okay, question number 1. Which current American League franchise won the first Modern World Series in 1903?
1903 World Series. I think I will go... I think I'll go with the Chicago White Sox. I think White Sox or Tigers. I'm going to go White Sox.
When Ronnie Lott had his finger unceremoniously amputated in a 1985 game, which team were the 49ers playing?
Oh, man. Let's cut it off. I'll do the lifeline here.
Was it the Rams,
No.
the Cowboys, or the Falcons?
It seems like it would have been. The Cowboys make sense. 1985. Right?
85.
I'm going to go with the Falcons, though. In the same division. Odds are greater. I don't think it was against the Rams, so I'm going to go. I think it would be more legendary if it was against the Rams. So I'm going to go with the Atlanta Falcons.
All right, question number 3, Randy. Happy birthday to Hall of Famer and legend Jack Lambert. Prior to his Steelers career, Lambert played his college ball with both Gary Pinkel and Nick Saban at which school?
I believe they were Kent State Golden Knights, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to go with Kent State. They were there for the riots at Kent State. And Gary was a tight end.
Two-time All-American.
Yeah.
Or All-Conference, one of the two. Sorry.
Yeah.
My apologies if I'm knocking you there, Coach Pinkel. But still, very impressive.
Yeah.
And he knew how to use a tight end in his offense. Which manager led the Yankees through the best run in Major League Baseball history, Randy, winning 5 straight World Series from 1949 to 1953?
49 to 53. This was pre-Casey Stengel. Was it Joe McCarthy? Was he before that? I will. I think I'll go with Joe McCarthy. Stengel came after because he was like, he was in the 60s, and then he went to the Mets. Actually went to the Mets in 62. So I will go. I don't think Casey was there that long. So I will go with Joe McCarthy.
All right. We have a winner in today's fight. Randy Carricker coming off 4 days off. Well, we're all coming off 4 days off, but the Megamind coming off 4 days without doing a fight.
Well,
and then
rusty.
Then he
Rust
catches
versus rest.
And then Garrett comes in. He's had 2 ties. I will say this, Garrett. There is no tie today. But does that mean you're a winner?
Probably.
Or does that mean you're a loser? Ring that bell.
The winner and new champion of the fight, Average Joe Listener.
The fight is presented by Golf Discount of St. Louis, with the most experienced club fitters in town. Why shop anywhere else?
Congratulations, Garrett. A big win on the fight for you today. No need for a tiebreaker. You did get 3 right. My prediction on your score was correct, and you beat Randy Carricker by a score of 3-1 today. Nicely done, sir.
Thank you.
Finally broke through. How does it feel?
It feels good.
There we go.
Good job.
Let's go through the questions and the answers. Which current American League franchise won the first modern World Series in 1903? They were called the Americans then. They are called the Red Sox now. It was the Boston Americans over the Pittsburgh Pirates in an 8-game series, 5-3. When Ronnie Lott had his finger unceremoniously amputated in 1985 game, they were playing the Cowboys. Timmy Newsome was the running back that he went to tackle, and when he jammed up the finger, and then he just said, like you said, just cut it off. Happy birthday to Hall of Famer and legend Jack Lambert. Prior to his Steelers career, he was known as one part of the terrific trio with Gary Pinkel, Nick Saban, and Jack Lambert at Kent State. When I found the article that referred to them as the terrific trio, I was like, you got to be freaking kidding me. That's amazing. And number 5, which manager led the Yankees through the best run in Major League Baseball history, winning 5 straight from 1949 to 53? He has 7 World Series. He won 5 straight. It was, in fact, Casey Stengel. He would then add 6 and 7 in the next 5 or 6 years, and then he would go across the town to the Mets, of course. So, yeah, 5 of these 7 with Casey Stengel, all in that run, the best in Major League Baseball history. So, 3-1 win for Garrett today in the fight. Garrett, we'll talk to you tomorrow on the fight.
All right, sounds good.
Thank you, Garrett.
Thank
Good
you,
to have
Garrett.
you with us on 101 ESPN. Coming up, we're going to talk to a friend of ours, a guy who's done a lot of charitable work in town, and now he's running for Congress. Our buddy Wesley Bell is next on 101 ESPN. Drive on 101 ESPN. Brooke Grimsley, Randy Carricker, and as you know, I do a lot of charity work. I like to get out in the community, and so often I see the County Prosecutor Wesley Bell, and we've gotten to know each other over the years. And Wesley is running for Congress in the 1st District here in the St. Louis area, and he's with us now on 101 ESPN. 29 days, right?
29 days and 17 hours.
Wesley, and we're friends, and I know you and Brooke are friends too. You're a friend to the sports community, and it's funny because as county prosecutor, there's a lot of stuff that I've asked you about over the years, but you always want to bring it back to sports.
Listen, man, I talk politics all the time, but hey, I wake up, I'm catching up on my sports in the morning. That's like my routine, and so I've been excited to come and be able to just talk sports.
And you have to be excited about what's going on with the Cardinals right now.
I absolutely do. I don't know if you guys remember a conversation that we had when I ran into you all, and I told you about a particular player that I hoped the Cardinals wouldn't play, Alec Burleson. Mm-hmm. And I know you remember because you have you remember everything.
Mega mind over here.
Look at him, man. Guy. I don't think this was like any breaking news, but man, he is just hitting the cover off the ball.
Biscuit Burleson, as we call him. Biscuit Barrel Burleson. How about that? Well, we talked about how important sports is in the region, but give your opinion on that, on how important sports is to the region.
I think the Battlehawks are the perfect analogy to how important sports are. You know, you're talking a minor league football team that gets this town just excited. I saw you down at the rally at the beginning of the season, and just to see the energy in the room for a minor league team for a city that's had 2 NFL teams, I think it shows you the type of passion this city has for sports.
And I know one thing that everybody that runs for office would like to do is to galvanize people, but we are so, especially now in 2024, we're so team red or team blue that it's almost impossible for politics or religion or any other entity to galvanize a community like sports can. I always looked at sports as the one entity that can bring everybody together.
Right, and you definitely, politics does not have a reputation for doing that, but I do think that we need more people that are deliberate about building relationships and bringing people together. You're not going to get everyone. There's, sometimes people just disagree for whatever, but we don't have to demonize one another. We can look for those things, that those common ground issues, and that's what I try to do. I
know you're big on, because you believe in the potential of the St. Louis area, so that's a big part of who you are, Wesley. But I think one of the things that we do, maybe the thing that we do well right now, is sports. How do you feel about that? That, we used to have beer. We used to be great. General Dynamics was here, and we did great with war. We still have Boeing. One of the great financial communities, financial services communities in the whole country. But it seems like Brooke was just out of the country, and it was sports, right? When she went to Ukraine for her honeymoon. Tell Wesley about when you ran into people.
Yeah, when I was in Croatia and Hvar, and they always ask, they're like, okay, where are you from? We're like, St. Louis, Missouri, and they're like, oh, hockey club. That's what they called it. They didn't necessarily know what Blues were, but they said hockey club. So I feel like that's what St. Louis is most known for. It's a sports town.
Yeah, it really is. It really is, and I've been there before too. And they're hockey, but also that part of the world, soccer. It is mind-blowing when you see the kind of support that they get for their sports. And when I look at other major cities around the country, they generally will invest in their sports teams, because not only is it just fun and things of that nature, but also the revenue. It brings people to your city. It highlights your city. And so, yeah, I'm definitely a pro sports guy.
Is that something that, from a financial standpoint, because there's not many cities in America that can lean on sports to be the centerpiece. Is that something that can be done? Is that feasible?
I think we've shown that we can do it in St. Louis. Even with the Rams, we were in the top half of attendance, even during the lean years. Yeah. So I think in the Cardinals, we won't even go there. I mean, the Cardinals have been an institution in this region for years. I mean, my entire life and beyond that. But, yeah, I absolutely.
Yeah, I think that that's the thing is that when you go to a lot of other cities, like obviously coming from Nashville, it's the music city. So it's music first, and then sports, of course, are a nice little accessory to have. But here, that's what St. Louis is known for, especially everything that the Kindle family has done with MLS and bringing that. What have you thought of the growth of that area?
Well, I'll say this too, and I look at Los Angeles as kind of the perfect example of what you're saying. Everything there is, well, we got all this stuff to do, and then there's sports too. You know, when they stole our football team, I mean, we won't talk about that. We won't talk about that. We stole them from them, but that doesn't matter. They stole our football team, and so yeah, it actually has been shown to stimulate not only growth but population and attract positive attention to your particular region or your city or what have you. And again, and it's fun, but just not the sports. But think about hotels, restaurants, all of the entities that benefit from having sport, major sports in your town. It's huge.
County Prosecutor Wesley Bell with us, and I get this question all the time, and you're on the inside. So I'll give you when people ask me, will we ever get an NFL team again? I said, well, right now, the public and corporate leadership in town got so burned by the NFL because of the lack of trust that exists. I can't see in this day and age the people that are still in place wanting to do business with the NFL. And as was pointed out to me, I think most notably, and it's a salient answer, why would you want to start a relationship with somebody who you just sued because they lied to you? So I'll ask you, will St. Louis ever get the NFL again? I'm a glasses half full kind of guy. So I'm not going to say when, but I think so. This is a major market, and I think this region is a sleeping giant. And I think that there's some things that we can do to really turn this region around. And when we do that, I think the NFL and sports leagues are going to want to come back if they're not in here, particularly the NBA as well. So yes, I think that's possible. I think it's very possible. Wesley, what makes St. Louis a sleeping giant?
Well, I mean, you think about our. Not only are we a major population hub, but think about our location in the middle of the country. That makes it much easier for transportation. Our river. There's so many things that make this such an extraordinary town, but also the people, and let's not forget about that part. So, I mean, we have some major pieces that are attractive to all types of industry. Now, there's some things we got to do to get our act together, and we got to start working together. That's important. But yeah, I think that I think it's going to happen at some point, and I think that I think one of the reasons I'm running for office is I want to be part of the coalition that turns this region around.
I appreciate that positivity.
Yeah, and the food scene. I was going to add that. The food scene here in St. Louis.
I mean, yeah.
So first and foremost, and we're going to talk about Mizzou because you went to Mizzou Law School, but you're a Lindenwood guy.
I'm a Lindenwood guy, that's true, but man, come on, I'm a Mizzou guy. Like, come on.
Well, come on, where do you want now?
Love Lindenwood. Listen, love them. My mother graduated from there as well. Love Lindenwood, but we're talking sports.
Right.
Come on, Red.
So I know, and we just had a segment as you guys were driving in about Mizzou. How fired up are you?
Man, I'm so fired up. This run of recruiting, Coach Drink, I've had a chance to meet him several times. I mean, you can't help but get excited when you meet the guy. I mean, just off hello, your adrenaline's pumping, and what he's done with that program. And we are recruiting in spaces that we have never seen in this region, and even in basketball. Coach, he's doing a tremendous job. Yeah, it was a tough year, but we knew that was coming because it was just a matter of getting new recruits in, and they're young. And so, but he had another great recruiting class, and the transfer portal. Man, this is a good time. But that kid, Lamont Rogers, he was a 4 to 5 star that they just recruited, as well as those 2 receivers from Florida. Man, this is a fun time to be a Mizzou fan.
It really is. Okay, so and you're a politician, and we have how many days until you?
I am a public servant, sir.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, that happens to be in the political realm. But you mentioned that St. Louis is a sleeping giant, and I think all of us that are here, especially people that grew up here, we're invested and we want to make it work. And I love the fact that you think that the region is a sleeping giant, because we do. The bones are there for this this area to be great. But you mentioned to me the key phrase, and Brooke, when you said if we work together. I want to do two things. Number one, I want you to give me the stat about what we would be in terms of size and crime rate if the city and county would merge.
So, I don't know if an actual merger, as we had saw a few years ago, is in the cards. I just don't know if the collective will is there for that. But if that were to happen, I think the numbers show that St. Louis would be like the 9th largest city in the country. It would. Our crime stats are a little off kilter, because when you look at just the city, and again, we love our folks in the city, and that's part of our region, and we're all working together. But that, there's a particular area where we see the homicide rate, which has improved. But if you, like all other cities, if you're looking at that entire region, that drops us down into a much better place.
In the 50s?
Something to that effect.
Yeah.
So I don't know if any kind of merger is going to happen, but I do think there's opportunities to work together and merge services and things of that nature. For example, the biggest liability of any city is its jail. We have two. We have two health departments. I think there's a lot of opportunity to work together. How that looks, we'll see. But I think that there's some things that we have to do, and I think we have some people in key places.
And that, Wesley, that leads me to the next question, and I'm glad you put it that way, working together, because I mentioned before, Team Red, Team Blue. And most of the people that I talk to are pretty moderate, pretty centrist. And I know that is where you are, too, in terms of your overall, your worldview. You aren't a hard left wing, you aren't a hard right wing guy. As you talk to people, because you've been boots on the ground ever since you started this campaign, are you finding that are there are more moderates out there, and the left and right are just really loud?
So I grew up in a time when Democrats and Republicans butted heads, struck that compromise, 11th hour compromise, and then went and had a beer together. And I'm cut from that cloth. We can't continue to demonize one another and then expect to be able to get things done, because what's happening is the folks on the extremes of both parties get the outsized amount of attention, but most Americans are somewhere center left, center right. And yeah, sometimes you might have a view that seems a little bit extreme, but you're not demonizing and you're not looking at that person or the other side as your enemy. And I think that's the problem that we have. We got to remember we're Americans, and at the end of the day, our government is designed for compromise. No one's going to get everything they want, but if we work together, we can move this region and this country forward. And I think that pendulum is swinging back to folks who are saying, hey, enough with the political gridlock, not getting anything done. Let's figure out a way to work together.
Yeah, and I have seen Wesley Bell out in places where you didn't need to be, but you were with people and you were trying to make St. Louis a better place. And for that, I appreciate you very much. And it's good to have you with us talking sports. And good luck,
man. Thank you. Always a pleasure to be here. Always great to see you too.
And when's Election Day? What's the date?
August 6th.
Okay.
Yes.
So get out and regardless of how you feel, get out and vote. Right?
Absolutely.
Yes.
And I hope you feel that you're going to support me. But get out and vote. Get out and vote.
Thank you, sir. Great to see you.
Great to see you too, both.
Thank you so much, Wesley.
That's our buddy Wesley Bell on 101 ESPN. Coming up next, we're going to talk to, or actually, you know what we're going to do is we're going to have our rush hour reset. The Red Hot Cardinals are back in action today, and we'll talk about them next on 101 ESPN.
Hey everyone, it's Brooke here for Universal Windows Direct. The heat has arrived and it's only going to get hotter from here. Do not cool off the outside this year. Go call my guys over at Universal Windows Direct. I love the summertime. It's so much fun to be outside, but I never love seeing that energy bill that comes with the warm weather. And that's where Universal comes in handy. Their windows feature super spacer technology, which helps keep the edge of the glass warmer, holds the window sill longer, and makes your windows last up to 5 times longer than other window systems. So your windows from Universal perform better and they last longer. So schedule your free in-home estimate today, and for every 2 windows you buy, get the next 2 for free, plus 0% financing for 60 months. That's 3 years. Restrictions apply. Universal Windows Direct backs it all up with a true lifetime warranty as long as you own the home, and a 20-year warranty to the next homeowner. Mention my name and get an additional $250 off your next project. Go to UWD.com. That's UWD.com. And like me, you'll be saying, I love my windows.
Capping the biggest sports stories of the day on the opening drive with a Rush Hour Reset.
Cards and Nationals will wrap up their 4-game series this afternoon, a little wraparound series, and that one's at 3:05. You can see it on Bally Sports, and the Cardinals will pitch. Who we got pitching today? Oh, Miles Michaelis against
Miles.
Mitchell Parker. So Miles needs to turn in a good performance so the Cardinals can take 3 of 4 in the series after winning yesterday 8-3. And the Cardinals have some hot hitters. Contreras 5 of 13, 2 homers, 5 RBIs so far in the series. Arenado 8 of 14 with a double and 3 RBIs. Gorman 7-11 with 3 doubles and 4 RBIs so far in the 3 games.
Gorman has gone 9 of 19 with 3 doubles, a home run, and 8 RBIs here recently. So maybe the Nolans are heating up, because we spoke about Nolan Arenado earlier. He went 2 for 5 yesterday with 2 RBIs, and maybe these guys are finding a little bit more of their stride at the plate. Now, with Arenado, you want to see more of that power him to hit for power, but is he starting to come along a little bit?
It seems like he is. I wanted to talk about Gorman, though. I'm not okay with a guy who is so hot and so cold. And I'm a big advocate, by the way, of believing that at the end of the season, the numbers are what the numbers are. But he really hurts your team when he goes 3 weeks and goes, 2 for 40 or whatever with no power. I hope that I hope that he's understanding, and he did look good over the weekend. I hope he watches Brendan Donovan hit and understand that he doesn't have to swing for the fences every time. It seemed like he's making better contact now than he has previously.
But we spoke about this, about how numbers are down hitting-wise across the entire league. Is that because of more players wanting to hit for power?
I think
and
it
that
is.
focus on home runs.
Right. I think that's totally it. But you watch Brendan Donovan hit. Brendan Donovan will, at times, swing for the fences. But he'll also get bat to ball. So does Burleson. Those guys are great at getting bat to ball and will cut down their swing to make contact at times. And one thing about Gorman, when he makes contact, it goes. But yesterday was a perfect example when he hit that fly ball to the left and it got lost in the sun and dropped. Mm-hmm. People say it doesn't make any difference whether you strike out or whether you make contact or fly out or ground out. It does make a difference because you have a chance to do something when the ball is in play. Somebody can make a mistake. A ball can sneak through a hole. Absolutely, there is an advantage to hitting the ball over not hitting the ball.
It feels like there's just not as many guys who are focused on being contact hitters. Do you think that's fair to say in this
100%.
day and age of what's going on?
They don't care.
No.
And I do.
I just think you should score runs in any way possible.
Yeah.
Because sometimes it will be working and sometimes it won't. But I think that, who would you say right now is the best just straight up contact hitter in the league?
Luis Ariz, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
And he's won back-to-back batting championships. There is a lot to be said, not just a lot to be said for getting your bat on the ball and having bat-to-ball skills. And that's one thing I don't think, it just appears people don't work on, is the bat to ball skills. A guy like Gorman, maybe it's coming into play now, but so many guys just swing and, I hit it, so it's going to fly out. By the way, Nolan Gorman, 319 plate appearances, 116 strikeouts in 83 games. 116 strikeouts in three, and official at-bats 286. So he's striking out about 33% of the time. By the way, Goldie is second on the team with 107 Ks, but he has 379 plate appearances.
Ooh, man.
So,
yikes.
yes, strikeout rate not great for old Gormy.
No, that is piling up. Another thing that I want to look at from this past weekend is we have to talk about it. It's not fun because right now, a lot of great buzz surrounding the Cardinals, but we do have to talk about what happened with Lance Lynn this weekend, Randy.
Oh, yeah. He got lit up, and that is, to me, that is the essence of a back-of-the-rotation guy. The way I look at this, and let me get Lance
It was 2 2/3, surrendering 11 runs, 10 earned on 9 hits, including 3 home runs.
Yeah, worst start of his career. It was, it was disappointing. I don't think, do you think it's alarming?
I think it is alarming. I think personally, now I do understand that he did have, was that his first or second quality start of the season prior to that?
I think his last 2 before that have been quality starts.
Exactly. So I know that he has been progressing, but when you see a blow-up game like that, it does, to me, cause a little bit of a concern.
Here's the way I look at this.
Especially when you're looking at the starting rotation. We were just talking about trade deadline earlier as you're evaluating the starting rotation. Who is, we know that Sonny Gray is going to be your number 1 because that's what he is right now. But who is the guy that you're sending out for game 2?
This is what the Cardinals need. And this is how you win. This is the way I look at it, winning, okay? Assume you have 5 starters that start 30 games each. That's 150 games, right? Out of the 162. So you've got your bottom 3 that essentially are 500 pitchers that in their 30 starts, the team is going to go 15-15 in their 30 starts. Here's how you win. You get 2 starters that in their 30 starts go 20-10. Then all of a sudden you are a team that goes from an 80-win team to an 81-win team to a 91-win team. And then if you have a third guy, like the Cardinals had when they had Tudor and/or Cox, you have a third guy that goes 10 games over, then you're a 100-win team. That is what you need. So I'm fine with what the Cardinals have at the bottom. If Lynn and Kyle Gibson and Michaelis all wind up being 15-15, the games that they pitch in, the team goes 15-15. And then the games that Sonny Gray pitches in, they go 20-10. The problem they have right now, we don't know what they're going to get out of that other spot, the Palante, Liberatore, Matz spot. And so basically you've got 4 guys right now that are those going to be 15-15, and then 1 guy that's going to be 10 games over. Well, that doesn't help you at all because that gets you to be an 86-win team. So they need a number. They don't need a number 3, 4, or 5 starter. They need a number 1 or a 2 that's capable of giving you a chance to win twice as much as you lose when he pitches.
And that's why I said I would like to have another starter added to this starting rotation, the trade deadline. But that seems like that would be really hard to do because guess what? Everybody else wants one.
Right. And even the Dodgers want one. And the Yankees are going to want one. Everybody, and even the teams, Baltimore, with that loaded farm system, is going to want another front of the rotation. They're in the rumors for Garrett Crochet. So I'll be really interested to see what the Cardinals are able to accomplish come trade deadline time.
From the 636, truthfully, with Lynn and Michaelis and Lynn giving up what they have, it should be Gray, Gibson, and Palante.
As their top 3? That's fine. You know what's weird, though, about Kyle Gibson is that the Cardinals are under 500. As well as he's pitched, the Cardinals are under 500 in his starts. So he's 7-3 overall. And he started yesterday, right? He's just had an unusual season. When he starts, the team is 9-8. So he's that 5. Even though his 1-loss record is 7-3, team is 9-8 when he starts, and Lynn is 10-8, and those guys will wind up being around 500. So they need another guy that the team wins a lot when he pitches.
Yeah, exactly.
So hopefully they'll wind up with that guy. Also, the Cardinals, Ryan Helsley is their only representative for the All-Star game. And last night in Colorado, the Rapids knocked off St. Louis City SC by a score of 4-1. Coming up next, our buddy Chip Caray is going to join us as he gets ready for the Cardinals and the Nationals this afternoon. Chip is next on 101 ESPN. Randy, and we head to the celebrity line, and our friend, the TV voice of the Cardinals on Ballet Sports, Chip Caray, joins us now. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
I'm doing great, guys. How are you?
Doing good. And this has been a terrific trip. 2 out of 3 from the Pirates, 2 out of 3 so far from the Nationals. And, Chip, the more I look at this team, the more I think they've kind of figured things out.
Well, yeah, I mean, the one consistent thing that we've seen all year long is pitching, right? I think we overcomplicate the game. I think I've said this to you before. If you pitch, you have a chance to win. The starting pitching, other than a couple of games here in Washington, has been very good. The bullpen has been outstanding. And all of a sudden, the Cardinals are scoring a bunch of runs against a very young, athletic, and exciting Nationals team. So they've put it together at the right time. I call this time of year moving season, the 2 weeks before the All-Star break, when a lot of guys are looking ahead to getting back to friends and family and having a normal life, and some rest and relaxation for 4 days is an opportunity to gain some ground. The Cardinals have done that, and the same is true right after the break. So things trending in the right direction. They're getting healthier, getting guys back, and they're taking advantage of teams that, frankly, they should be if they want to be a playoff team.
And also with players kind of getting back to what you need to see from the Nolan Arenado. I know that he still has a little ways to go, but still, he went 2 for 5 with 2 RBIs yesterday, his 3rd consecutive game with 2 or more hits. Is he starting to find his rhythm again at the plate? Of course, he needs to hit for power a little bit more. He's still at 7 home runs, but it looks like he's at least trending in a better direction.
Yeah, Brooke, I think that's the key to the team, and Ollie said that pretty much from day one. Your big guys have to slug. And Arenado coming into the game yesterday had knocked in 3 runs in 15 games. He had 2 yesterday. Look, those are your big guys. Those are your highest-paid guys. Those are your superstars. Those are your MVP candidates. And the more that they swing the bat like their resumes, the better this Cardinals offense is going to be, especially from the right side of the plate. We've seen that this year. The Cardinals have done a good job. They're winning games started by left-handed pitching, but it's really been a struggle offensively as a group, and with a left-handed heavy lineup, you need your right-handed bangers to bang, and luckily against the Nationals in this series, they've been able to do that.
Chip, one of those is Wilson Contreras, and you talk to Ollie every single day. Do you get a sense of what they would like to do with Contreras and Pages? It seems like Pages behind the plate and Contreras as the DH is something that they really like at the moment.
I think they like both guys behind the plate. I think the improvements that Wilson has made defensively are obviously huge. They're noticeable. They're real. And no matter who you have behind there, you feel like you have someone who can work in sync with your starting rotation. I think the Cardinals are going to be a little more careful with Wilson, again, coming back from the fractured arm. He's been hit on the hand a couple of times. We've seen him wince and grimace a couple of times in the series against the Nationals because clearly he's uncomfortable. But the guy plays hurt. He's a gamer. He's a pro's pro. He knows that the job description of catcher is to wear those bruises with pride as badges of honor, and he wants to be in the lineup. And, again, I shudder to think where the Cardinals will be without his power on this road trip. 3 enormously important home runs. 2 of them tied the game. 1 extended the lead yesterday, and that's more of that right-handed thump we like from Contreras, either behind the plate or as the Cardinals DH.
Ryan Helsley is the lone all-star for the Cardinals, and deservingly so with 31 saves this season. What have you enjoyed seeing from Ryan Helsley this season, other than, of course, his dominance and what he's been able to do with the saves?
His availability. I think that was a problem for Ryan last year. The unique nature in which the Cardinals used him in the 7th inning or the 8th inning, trying to save games when the heart of the lineup for the opposition was up, rather than knowing the 9th inning was going to be his, I think has been reassuring for Ollie. It's been reassuring for Helsley, and Ryan has said as much. He said, look, if I'm going to have this defined role, then I have to be more available and ready to pitch on back-to-back days, or even sometimes 3 days in a row, or 4 out of 6. The Cardinals have played so many close games that they've had to use their big 3 guys an awful lot at the end of games, and that's wonderful. But more games like what we saw yesterday, I think, would do those guys a lot of good, so that you don't have to use them in every one of your wins, or at least 80% of them, it seems. And for Helsley, certainly you want to keep him upright and keep him going in the direction he's going, because for the Cardinals to get there, he's going to be a big part of it. He certainly was in the first half.
And Chip, when you talk about the break, for people like Kittredge and Romero, getting those 4 days off for the break will be so valuable. I'm kind of hoping that Helsley doesn't pitch in the All-Star game. I know it's a thrill, and I know that he would like to, but from a Cardinal team perspective, I'd love to have him get 4 or 5 days off.
That'd be great. But look, it's a chance for him to showcase his talent on the biggest stage against the biggest stars in the other league. And the managers will be obviously very, very careful with how they use them. Those conversations are already taking place, or they will take place. And Torey Lovello is an excellent manager. He'll do a good job in making sure all of his pitchers are handled in an appropriate way. And a lot of that will come with usage, right? If Helsley pitches a lot against the Cubs and has chances to save games, which obviously we hope has happened, maybe he won't be available for that Midsummer Classic down in Texas. And I think, to your point, Randy, that would be the best of both worlds, I think.
Hey, Chip, did you guys get in to see the National Fireworks display after the early game in Pittsburgh last Thursday?
Yeah, we got in, went out to dinner, and watched it from the comforts of air conditioning. It's been brutally hot here, man. It's otherworldly hot here in Washington. Another heat advisory today. It's supposed to be about 105 or 106 degrees on the field, and that's what's so impressive about what the Cardinals and, frankly, the Nationals are doing. It's been oppressively hot. You're seeing that reflected in the attendance totals for the Nationals and where the fans are sitting in the ballpark. This is not an easy place to play this time of year. It is a swamp, and it feels every bit of it with the heat and humidity. And I think, to a man, we're ready to get out of town, get back home, and enjoy some nice weather, and good luck against the Royals and Cubs.
Okay, so I know that because I was in the booth, Jack Buck would have a bucket where he would put his feet in his, obviously take his shoes and socks off, keep his feet in a bucket of ice cold water. Your grandpa took his shirt off when it was too hot outside. So what's Chip Caray's trick?
We have what's called air conditioning, which is fantastic. I don't think they had that at the old ballpark. It harkens back to when Casey Stengel managed the National League team at Busch Stadium in the All-Star game, and it was the turf, and it was hot and brutal in St. Louis, and he was asked his impressions of the new stadium in downtown St. Louis, and he said, well, it certainly holds the heat well. That was certainly the case at Busch Stadium, too. Here in D.C., we've got gigantic windows that we can shut, let the AC blow, and at least stay in some modicum of comfort, although we are higher and closer to the sun than any other stadium in Major League Baseball, so that adds a couple of degrees of difficulty for the job.
Well, you enjoy that today. We'll enjoy tuning in to UMBT with the Cardinals and Nationals on Bally Sports this afternoon. Chip, as always, thanks for the time. Safe travels home, and we'll see you this week.
Of course. Thanks, guys. Be well.
Thank you. You too. That's Chip Caray, TV voice of the Cardinals, with us on 101 ESPN.
AC is a great thing.
Yeah. It is. I was trying to see if Chip would ever take his shirt off.
You're trying to get that to happen,
I just think, well, his dad did it. His grandpa did it. I don't think
you just want him to take his shirt off, don't you?
I just want to see.
See if he's been working out with John Mozeliak, huh?
Yeah. Right. Mo is jacked right now.
According to Greg MC.
Right. That's Brooke. I'm Randy. Coming up, Matthew's got a question. Why can't the U.S. get good internationally at soccer? I've got the answer for you, and it's next here on 101 ESPN. Hey, kids, I have some exciting news from Schnucks. You know, I'm always talking about how great their rewards program is, and now it's even better because they just released new perks to make it even more personalized. Schnucks now has personal double points days, and that makes earning rewards easier and faster. Just keep an eye on the rewards app for your personal double points day coupon, and once you clip it, you can use it to get double the points on your entire purchase. So instead of your usual 2% back, you're getting 4% back at Schnucks Rewards to use for a future purchase. You're going to choose when to use the coupon. You can apply it the next time you do stock up and shop so you can really get bang for your buck. This is an in-app coupon, so be sure to download the Schnucks Rewards app and check your digital coupons. That's where you'll find this coupon when it periodically pops up. And don't forget, dingers for donuts. Every time the Cardinals hit a home run, the next day you get a free donut at Schnucks with the Schnucks Rewards app. Download the Schnucks Rewards app today and look for those personal double points days.
This is Rocky with your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. Over the weekend, a long weekend, the Cardinals took 2 of 3 from Pittsburgh, and then they started a 4-game series against the Nationals. They've taken 2 of 3, and they will go for a 3-1 win today with a 3:05 first pitch. Could also be a split, as Miles Michaelis faces off against the lefty Mitchell Parker for the Nationals. Parker on the season 5-4 with a 3.61 ERA. Also over the weekend, St. Louis City was back in action for their 3rd game in 8 days, and this one goes poorly. 4-1 loss to the Colorado Rapids in Colorado. That is your Sports Center update, driven by Johnny Londoff Chevrolet and Johnny Londoff Autoplex. See them at londoff.com. Chevy, together we drive. Are you kidding me?
Just a brutal performance by the U.S. men's national soccer team last week as they fell to Uruguay over at Arrowhead Stadium by a 1-0 score, and they were knocked out of the Copa tournament. And Copa
No.
tournament.
I thought we were going to get past it without seeing it this time.
No, we can't. Man, it's we should not be losing to Uruguay, should we, Matthew?
I mean, they've won World Cups before, and they have a very long sporting history, and they also have a good coach in Marco Bielsa.
Okay.
So yes, it's not.
This
is not Trinidad and Tobago. This isn't Costa Rica, but
they have 3.4 million people.
You still look at Uruguay on a map and then compare it, and it's the size of like a part of Texas.
Right, yeah.
It's like half of Louisiana.
Right, they've got 3.4 million people in the entire country.
Yeah.
No, they probably steal some from Argentina because they're right next to Buenos Aires. I had to figure out where Uruguay was. I didn't think that was going to have to
Randy
be a thing.
shouldn't have to know where Uruguay is.
I should not. So how does this happen? Why? Okay, everybody wants to blame the coach right now, Berhalter. Is he to blame? That's the first question I have. Obviously, there are certain players that don't want to play for him or that have regressed. So has the whole Reyna thing hurt USA has Christian Pulisic not being what they expected him to be on an international stage. Why are we not more competitive?
Pulisic it's not Pulisic. He's been great. And the Gio Reyna factor is actually interesting. First of all, the problem is the coaching. Greg Berhalter isn't good enough. He wasn't good enough in his first run. He hasn't been good enough in this run. He just isn't dynamic enough. He doesn't have coaching international football. I'm not going to say he's a bad soccer or football coach.
We get killed in international
coaching
football.
International,
at least we have a chance in soccer. International football, we get drilled by Japan.
Coaching international soccer is a different thing from coaching club because you only have a small window of time. And so he's just not a good international coach. The second thing is there's still issues with pay to play across the United States, which is why kids will get bumped out from playing soccer and instead they'll play other sports.
So we're missing out on the best athletes.
Well, the third thing I'm going to say is guys like Gio Reyna are getting time playing for the national team, but they're not playing club soccer. Canada right now is doing fine in the Copa, and Canada's playing some of their non-big names who play club soccer. A lot of them are MLS players. The problem right now is that there's a lot of U.S. players who sit on the bench in Europe, and then they get asked to then play huge minutes in international play, and it doesn't work. Right now, the United States men's national team would be doing better if they would have been called up more MLS talent to play during the Copa.
Oh, wow. Okay. Interesting.
Well, you have like Josh Sargent. But so
Sarge.
yes. So I think it's also a bigger question because we got some texts in where people talk about how obviously that you have more of an emphasis on soccer or football in other countries than here. I think that soccer, if I'm not mistaken, is one of the fastest growing sports in the U.S. I believe so. That's correct. I know a lot more people start their kids in soccer, but at the same time, the level that they do it, especially on the European side, it starts at an even younger age of where they really identify the talent at such a young age, and they have these institutions they put them in where it specifically is more of an emphasis on football rather than just, there's education, but there's an emphasis on that.
So what we're doing in baseball with the individualized training, they're doing in Uruguay. They're getting kids at 5 and teaching them individual skills.
I would say, yeah, but I mean, we have more specialization of soccer here too, but there's definitely a lot more of an emphasis on it there, I would say. Wouldn't you agree, Rocchio, that there's more available for them?
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's why I mentioned the pay to play, because there is an issue. Kids are going to pick football and basketball and baseball at a higher rate in this country, but we're also picking from such a larger pool that shouldn't be as impactful. Right. But the fact of the matter is that pool that is still so large is getting shrunk down to a minuscule amount by the system that you have, which is that it costs a massive amount of money for kids to play the sport unless they get picked up at the very beginning from an MLS academy that doesn't charge the family for the kid to play for them. That's one of the biggest problems in my opinion. People are going to complain and say that the U.S. just isn't good at soccer. The MLS isn't a good enough league. But again, I point to Canada using MLS guys, and I point to a guy like Diego Luna, who's having a lot of success for the dumbest named team in MLS in over there in Utah, and he's dominating right now. And the United States men's national team said, "Yeah, we'll put you on the bench for the Olympics, the reserve squad." And he said, "No, I'm good enough to be a starter, so it's either starter or nothing." And I respect him for doing that because he's dominating right now at the club level, which is what other players, Gio Reyna being one of them, is not doing, despite the fact that, yes, he's at a much more high-profile club. But playing the actual game day in and day out, it matters.
It's like somebody pointed out, our top athletes from 3 and 4 do not choose soccer. They choose football, basketball, and baseball, which I think is fair. I think that's what you do here in the U.S. It's typically more football. But I do find it interesting that I saw a study say that because there's there's more information about CTE, and I know you can still have that happen with soccer, of course. Right. There's still things that can happen with soccer, that more people are putting their kids in soccer because they're worried about the head concussions with football and traditional U.S. football.
I respect that opinion. But here's the thing. This is my opinion. I think the 4th best athlete in America should be better than the best athlete in Uruguay.
Say it one more time.
4th best athlete in America. If people are choosing
100%.
Basketball, baseball, football. So we get the 4th pick in the draft.
Yeah. That should be better.
I would rather have that one than the best one that the best athlete that Uruguay has to offer.
Yes, that's not a wholly unrealistic expectation when you're talking about how many people does Uruguay have?
3.4 million.
And how many people does America have?
3.3 billion.
I think it's 300.
300 million.
I think it's 300 million, but still, you're 100xing their population.
Yeah.
So therefore, the numbers. And again, Uruguay is an interesting example because they do outwardly for how large they are. But even when you compare it to like an Argentina or a Brazil, those are the biggest countries, and it's just I understand not being as good as them, but it shouldn't just be fait accompli. You will never, ever be able to touch them year in and year out. You're going to get embarrassed. You're not going to advance in your World Cup in 2026. That's too low of a bar when you have the population, when you have the money we have.
And by the way, Uruguay did beat Brazil in penalty kicks yesterday after a 0-0 draw on the pitch through regulation. The Uruguayans... Uruguayates?
Uruguayans. You're good.
Oh, Uruguayans. They knocked off the Brazilians by a penalty kick victory.
They're not. You don't need to be a big country to win. The Euros a few cycles ago, Iceland, which is smaller than every other European country, made this miracle Cinderella run. So there is a level of cohesion, and again, with those guys, with those smaller teams, usually a lot of those times, those guys are playing together on the club level.
Okay, one other quick question then. How do you feel about a foreign coach running USA's premier soccer team?
I prefer it at this point.
It's
foreign one?
Yeah.
They're better at it than we are.
That's cool. Then we are really American.
If we would have gotten Jesse March, it wouldn't have been an issue. But Canada snapped up the best American coach available, so that was a problem.
So, to me, that we're not. If we're coached by somebody else, we're not an American team. But that's
normal in international soccer. A lot of the biggest international soccer wins have come with national coaches coaching a national team. Like I just said, Bielsa's I believe he's an Argentinian coaching the Uruguayan team, and he's being lauded by the Uruguayan press because he's essentially reestablishing a new era of Uruguayan football, and he's an Argentinian.
Well, good for them. It's not really a Uruguayan team.
I care about winning. That's all I care about. I don't care who's coaching the United States men's national team. I just care if the United States men's national team is winning.
Oh, okay. See, I want Americans to win.
I got no other reason to watch the Olympics other than America dominating, so I need W's.
Well, we've got Americans that are going to win in basketball. They better win in basketball, by the way.
Oh, yes.
How about Luka getting knocked out of the Olympics? That's better for us.
By Giannis.
Yep.
It's pretty impressive.
Pretty good.
Last little point, a lot of people brought this up too, is the cultural difference too, that soccer, it's more of a cultural thing there. Same thing with Canada. The amount of people who play hockey, somebody pointed that out too. That's a cultural thing of you kind of play with what's popular, with what's around you, what everybody else is doing, right?
You'd hope that that's the case, except Team USA under-20 football, real football, got rocked by Japan and also lost to Austria. So what's more culturally relevant in America than American football? But the under-20 football, the championships.
The actual, and we're talking about football. Yes.
Yeah. Japan beat us 41-20.
I need to look into what exactly was going on there. Who are these players? What was happening? Who's coaching this team?
I don't know, but somebody's got to be arrested. Then we lost to Austria 32-25.
Somebody has to be arrested. Somebody needs to be held accountable for this.
Somebody's got to be held accountable, Brooke. So there you go. So
Berhalter's going to get fired.
If there's one sport that
they're not going to hire Klopp.
We should never lose in, ever. It's American football, right?
Yes.
To anybody.
No.
We should not only should we never lose, we should never win by less than 4 touchdowns. It's America. We lost to Austria 32-25. We lost to Japan 41-20.
Shouldn't we say
on there?
It's more of a global game. We're winning.
We are not winning though. That's the problem.
Well, that's true. The problem is the last time everyone said, "Hey, we're creating a global game," we did it by slamming Angola by 90 in basketball.
Here's the thing: why not just send anybody that's over 20 from the Georgia football team can't play? Send everybody 20 and under from the Georgia football team to play in this thing.
Yes, I think that would probably
and win every game by 4
better.
touchdowns.
Does this mess with amateur status? Is that maybe why?
No, not anymore. There's no such thing as
true.
amateurism.
Yeah, never mind then.
Yeah. We've got Rocc Roll coming up next on 101 ESPN. Chesterfield Fence and Deck has been owned and operated in the St. Louis area for 56 years under the same ownership. They are fantastic with the work they do. If you are looking for an outdoor project that's really done well at your home, you can count on Chesterfield Fence and Deck. They use their own professionally trained installation crews and trucks and tools, and they operate out of their incredible warehouse in Chesterfield Valley. And they invite you to visit that showroom, and it has beautiful displays of the fences and decks and the pergolas, plus the sunrooms and screen rooms and patios and more. So you can get an idea, if you head out to their facility, of what they can do for you. They have beautiful wood and vinyl fences. They have cedar and beautiful Vecca decks, including the new color for Vecca deck, which is pewter. It's a gorgeous gray that has beautiful variation throughout for a more natural look. And keep this in mind. When you use Chesterfield Fence and Deck for your next outdoor project, you can get 48 months interest-free financing when you mention that you heard about them from me. Chesterfield Fence and Deck phone number is 800-300-4054, 800-300-4054, or on the web at chesterfieldfence.com. Chesterfield Fence and Deck, the sign you have the very best.
And roll.
Let's rock. Let's rock today.
Matthew, Randy, it's time for rock and roll. One other note about our International American Football Under-20 team. Mm-hmm. Canada has won 3 in a row.
Who is on this team?
It's a bunch of under 20-year-olds.
But, like, where are they coming from?
Certainly not Texas. That's what you got to do.
I need to do some research on this.
Yeah, it has not been great. So I wonder if it's kids that are, why not get like freshmen that are in college? Probably that's what you need to do. You need to get this team to be good and get like college freshmen and sophomores that are just lifting weights in June and get them to go out and play. It's really bad. Just really bad.
Who are these people? Who's coaching this team? As you said, they need to be held accountable.
Isn't during the summer, it's a pretty big recruiting time. You're planning, if you're a high school coach, you're planning your next season. So who is coaching? Who's playing? These are my questions.
Well, there should be a coach out there to coach this team. Barry Switzer. Get Barry Switzer.
Ooh, yeah, there we go. I like that old ball coach.
Yep. What do you got for us, Matthew?
Oh, that's Spurrier. I don't know why I said that. I always get Switzer and Spurrier in my head confused for some reason.
Yeah, Spurrier would be fine.
He's old ball coach, my bad. Sorry about that, Spitzer, but that's not you. This was a little breaking news during the show. Brooke actually sent this over, and it's connected to the Blues, although it's not technically Blues news. The Dallas Stars have officially parted ways with Bally Sports and pivoted to a first-of-its-kind direct-to-consumer streaming app where in-market fans will be able to watch their games for free. We knew this domino would eventually fall. I think if you listen to our Tom Stillman interview, to his great chagrin, the judges kept kind of languishing and pushing this kind of thing away. But this is a big domino to fall against Bally Sports, potentially for the future of broadcasting around hockey and baseball. And obviously, this could certainly affect the Blues and the Cardinals going forward.
This is interesting because streaming is the way that a lot of things are going. Mm-hmm. But I can't see, as of right now, St. Louis is a market for full streaming. Can you?
No, I can't. No, there's still too many people that utilize cable dish. So whatever the Blues or the Cardinals would do, they would have to do what the Padres and the Diamondbacks did and make sure that they have availability so that they show up on Spectrum Cable and DirecTV or whatever most people have. And that, by the way, includes if you can get on their YouTube and Dish and every outlet that you can find.
So in the story, too, because there's a lot of questions on if there's any plans to partner with a local TV station to air games over the air. And the writer of the story said that was a discussion, but they opted to not go in that direction. So they will not have any of the games available on local TV there. It will just be streaming.
So they're going to build it and sell it to themselves, risk reward, and I would think that in Dallas, in that market, the reward will be great, especially if you have a free app. And most new TVs that are purchased now are smart TVs, so you can download the what I assume will be the Dallas Stars app and watch every game for free. I am intrigued, though, that they don't want to be on any other outlets, any
just to have another
traditional
option.
Outlets, right?
Yeah, for a lot of different viewers, because we see it, we talk about it. Not everybody has fully gone into full streaming services yet, and it is a lot to keep up with, but I do think it's a nice option. I have Fubo TV. I've told you guys about that, and it is nice that I can go anywhere with my phone and just turn on a game and watch it, pause it, record it right there on my phone.
Now, obviously, the contract between Bally Sports, Diamond Sports, and the Stars had ended. I don't know what the length of the Blues contract is with Bally Sports, but I would think as long as Bally is around, that they would want to have the Blues, because the Blues are a sellable item. They get great ratings here in St. Louis. So I would think that if Bally has the opportunity to keep the Blues under their umbrella, that they would want to do so.
I would like to see some sort of merging with the Cardinals and Blues for streaming services eventually, where you're making that available for everybody. It makes a lot of sense.
It does. And especially from a time standpoint, I don't think you need to have that permanent content, but Blue Note Productions and the Cardinals produce a ton of content anyway. So I think that makes sense too, ultimately. And I think that's probably where we are headed. I don't think baseball really wants Bally long term.
No.
The actions that they have had, and being so prepared last year when Bally didn't pay the Padres or the Diamondbacks to be as ready as they were to step in the night of the game and switch everything over, tells me that they're prepared to live without Bally, that baseball is.
And it's just been such a headache with Bally, too, to the point where I think it actually affected a lot of team spending, because there was so much uncertainty surrounding what was going on with Diamond Sports and everything that they were trying to work through with that. I mean, streaming is the way that things are going. It's just going to take a little bit of time, a little bit of adjustment, because I do understand the frustration of it. For some people, it's not easy. It's not easy to access that, because you are still using TV, an actual TV,
right,
rather than just the streaming services attached to it.
Well, that's one of the things with baseball here. One of the most popular things at retirement homes is the old people gathering around the television when the Cardinal game comes on, and that's a big thing. Now, in terms of TV ratings and marketing, you are marketing to the typical 85-year-old, but it's just a part of our culture in St. Louis, and maybe that's different if you're in San Diego or Phoenix. But here, everybody loves the Cardinals, and I know the Cardinals want everybody to have access. And that's why Bill DeWitt III said that whatever approach they take, they will wind up on a traditional outlet for those people that really like it.
With Major League Baseball, I know that we were talking about hockey here, but with Major League Baseball, I think ending the blackouts is the biggest thing.
Yeah.
That should be first and foremost. There should be I think if you have streaming services, you should be able, if you're paying for it, to be able to watch it wherever you are.
Yeah, and I don't understand why Rob Manfred just doesn't say, no blackouts. We want to make our sport accessible to everybody. So, and Bally would like that. Obviously, Bally here, they've got it on the app. Now, they would like to have exclusivity in terms of streaming that they don't have, because MLB.TV exists. But I don't know why Rob Manfred doesn't say, especially with MLB.TV, no blackouts at all. None.
Yeah, no blackouts. That seems easy.
Yeah. So,
if you're paying for streaming, you should be able to watch it wherever you want.
Seems simple to me.
On any device I want.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I should be able to pull up my phone and watch the Cardinals and the Blues wherever I want, without having to worry that if I pause, I'll have to re-sign into the app immediately.
Yeah.
Sick and tired of it. It's the worst app in the... I mean, the fact that you can't stream is one thing. The fact that the app is terrible overall is another problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. Frustrating. So hopefully we'll be able to get all of this settled.
Thank you, Dallas.
And by the way, Could that be?
No, thank you, Dallas.
When we talk about the Blues being as far below the cap as they are this year, we talk about the cap. We don't talk about cash a lot. And I think that's part of it, too. They have to be looking at what they're getting from Bally, and maybe that's one of the reasons that they have the approach and the plan that they do, because they can't plan on getting as much money as they've made off of television as they have in the past.
Exactly.
So cash is a part of this, too. Maybe they just don't anticipate making as much cash as they did.
I wonder how much this will affect contracts across a lot of sports, like baseball and hockey.
I think the overall revenue streams that those sports share in will, you would think, go down a little bit. But Dallas clearly thinks they can make more money. So maybe, and if you do it right, if you own your own rights and do it right, you should be able to make a ton of money. It should be outrageous in a market like Dallas.
Yeah.
Great job today by our producer, audio video engineer, the one, the only Matthew Rocchio. Thank you, sir.
Pleasure.
Brooke, did you have fun today?
Yes.
This was great. Welcome back.
Yes.
Belated happy birthday.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
So glad you went to the concert.
It was great.
Cool.
It was fantastic.
Def Leppard.
Def Leppard and Journey.
Poor kitty.
With only one original member.
Yeah. and it's not the lead singer. It's not Steve Perry.
No, it's definitely not Steve Perry that's on stage.
Hey, we thank you for tuning in, texting in, and being a part of the show. For all of us, until tomorrow morning at 7, have a magnificent Monday, St. Louis. Hey, in today's fast-paced world, you need 2060 Digital. You need to be able to connect with your customers at the most efficient level possible. And 2060 Digital does that. They are a company, a sister company of 101 ESPN, based right here in our building. And what 2060 Digital does is builds wonderful websites so that you have the best site for your potential customers, and then ways to connect with your customer. They know the algorithm so that you can be on the front page of every search engine, so that you type in the widget company, and your company, the widget company, shows up on the front page of the search results. The other thing they do is they teach you how to properly utilize, or they'll do it for you, social media, how to post, when to post, what to post. And there is a science to that can get you more customers. All you need to do to learn more is visit 101ESPN.com/2060Digital and request a complimentary digital audit today. Improve your connection with your customers with 2060 Digital.